Tigger and her husband Jack are suing 50-year-old senior aide Joel Davidson for travel expenses during a European cruise.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 380 on the calendar in the matter of Tigger versus Davidson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to your complaint, your husband, who had suffered a stroke some time ago, needed some assistance, and you hired the defendant because you were planning a European cruise. You hired the defendant who you knew from doing volunteer work at some senior citizen center. And according to you, after about a week on the cruise, he left. There was some disagreement. He left the cruise, and you want him to reimburse you for his tickets, which was some $3,000 for the cruise, right?
Yes.
He has a counterclaim. He says that he was unceremoniously thrown off the ship, and it cost him some $400 to get back, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And when was the cruise scheduled?
July 25th is the day we left. We had a couple days in London before the cruise.
And your agreement with him was what?
To go on the cruise, all expenses paid. What he would have to do is shower and dress my husband and push the wheelchair. As soon as we got there, it's as if he was totally unable to handle his responsibilities.
And you said after the first day something happened. So tell me what happened.
Our first tour, we were getting off the bus. I asked Joe, bring the wheelchair so my husband could sit down, and so quickly he jammed the chair against my husband's legs, almost knocking him down. I talked with my hands, and I just said, "Are you crazy?" And I just flung my hand back, and I went to reach for my husband.
Did he wheel him on that tour the first day?
As part of the time.
And then you went back to the cruise ship?
Well, even before we got back there, he told me he did not want to take care of Jack anymore.
What did he say?
He said, "I don't want to do this anymore." I said, "Excuse me?" He says, "I don't want to take care of Jack anymore."
Did he say why?
No, no explanation at all.
So then you got back to the cruise ship, and what did you do?
Well, we got back to the ship. I couldn't do anything that day. That evening, I heard him defaming me to some passengers, telling them that I assaulted him. And I spoke with him and asked him not to do that, that it's not appropriate, and it's none of anyone's business what happened between us. He said he wouldn't talk about it anymore, and he indicated to me that if he could find a way off the ship, he would do it. I told him, go see the purser. 2 days later, when we were in port, I went to the purser. Well, my stepson was sharing a cabin with Joe, and he was very disgusted that he would have to look at him after what Joe did to his father.
Well, why don't you step up, please? You're Richard?
Yes, ma'am.
You were sharing a cabin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you have any conversation with the defendant?
Very little. I was upset about the whole situation, so I avoided him.
Did he, in fact, after the incident, the first day on ship, have any contact with your father?
He actually got into a tuxedo that he had borrowed and participated in the formal dinner that night and came over and attempted to talk to Paula, at which time she asked him to, just not talk to us.
Did he come and shower your father?
No, Your Honor.
Did he wheel him around at all?
No, ma'am. I took over and did all that.
Did you have any discussion with the defendant about leaving the ship?
Just the time that he told Paul if there was any way he could leave the ship that he would. So we went to the purser and tried to find out if that was possible.
And who communicated with the defendant that, in fact, arrangements had been made for him to be dropped off?
Paula and myself looked around the ship and found him in the library and explained the situation.
Who explained the situation?
I did.
What did you say to him?
I told him I arranged for him to leave the ship, and he only had a few minutes to pack.
Where were you?
Ireland, Cove, Ireland.
Okay.
And we assisted him to his cabin, watched him
So
pack.
you said to him you had arranged for him to leave the ship?
Yes.
What did he say to you?
He said, what? He didn't really say anything. I gave him his ticket from London to the United States, and I told him when you get to the airline, tell them you need to change your date, that you're flying back.
Okay. Now, Mr. Davidson, let's hear your version of the events.
Mrs. Tigger asked me to go on the cruise with her. The first agreement did not mention showering and dressing him. She said, I want you to wheel him around, and I want you to take him out on the deck after lunch and read to him. But the main reason I'm taking you on this cruise is that I am sick of having to get up during dinner to take him to the restroom.
It's, at some point, you changed that agreement with her with regard to showering and dressing?
She said I had to shower and dress him and undress him.
When did she tell you that?
2 weeks before we left?
So that you knew that before you left?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But before we left, she called me up on the phone and she said, I'm giving you a check for $2,500. I want you to cash it and give me the cash back. She was acting like she was paying me $2,500 to go on the cruise and then give her the money back.
Let's get to the cruise, Mr. Davidson.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We got to Le Havre. I put together his wheelchair. He sat down in it. I was wheeling his wheelchair. She came back and she assaulted me, saying that I had hit his foot.
How did she assault you?
She punched me with her hand.
Show me how she punched you. With a punch?
With a punch.
Yes.
On my right shoulder.
Yes.
She said, get away from us. We don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Just leave. I went back to the ship. I tried to file an assault report. They refused to take it. I went to the purser. The purser said, are you leaving the ship? I said, I don't have tickets home to leave the ship. I can't leave the ship. She waited until we got to Ireland. They said, you're off the ship. They took me to my room. They made me pack my bags. They handed me this. And they said, you have to do this, and you have to take that flight. And you have $200 in traveler's checks to pay for the flight. I got to London, and the tickets weren't good for another 9 days.
Go ahead.
I explained to the airline what happened. They saved my life, Your Honor. They gave me a standby ticket. It took me 31 hours to get home.
Mr. Davidson, why would you think that she would unceremoniously throw you off the ship unless she had a problem with the way you were taking care of her husband?
Because she was angry with me because I wouldn't cash her check, and she didn't want me to go on the trip.
Well, that sounds sort of strange, Mr. Davidson, because you said that this was prior to you leaving by several weeks. At that point, it would have been very easy to cash in your ticket and say, forget it, I don't want you to go with me.
I feel I would still be standing here that she would have sued me for not going on the trip.
No. Now, that doesn't make sense, Mr. Davidson. What I just don't understand is something was sufficiently egregious about the way you were handling her husband so that she said, I don't want you to have anything to do with him anymore. Because I believe that you did say that, Miss Tigger. I believe that you said to him, get away, I don't want you to take care of him anymore.
That was the next night.
Whatever. It was the next night. You said, I don't want you to have anything to do with him anymore. So that you don't get the money back from his crew. You don't get the money back. As it happens, he didn't even finish the trip. My question with regard to you is, do you have any sort of counterclaim? Because you said it cost you about $400 to fly from Ireland to London and then your taxi and everything else, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you ever been to Europe before, Mr. Davidson?
I've been to London once.
How long ago?
25 years.
And did you spend 2 days in London?
Yes.
So at least those couple of days were pleasant.
Yes, ma'am.
The reason that I asked you questions before with regard to your treatment of Mr. Tigger was because I can't figure out why she would have fired you. Because I believe she told you that she didn't want you to take care of her husband anymore. And I do believe that you also said to her, I'm not doing this anymore.
No, ma'am, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Never?
No.
Did you appear at their door each morning to shower Mr. Tigger?
No.
That was part of your job?
Yes.
And you didn't do it?
No.
You didn't make an attempt to do it?
I went up to them on Sunday night and I apologized to Mr. Tigger.
What did you apologize for, Mr. Davidson?
I said, if I inadvertently hit your foot, which I did not do, I apologize. I would never do that.
But you did not report to their stateroom each morning.
They called up on the phone and said, send Richard.
Did you ever ask Mrs. Tigger for him to come down and shower your husband?
No.
Miss Tigger, you are not entitled to recoup from Mr. Davidson the money for the ticket.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson had cards made up. Personal travel companion will travel worldwide. And on my dollar, he took these cards and was giving them out to passengers.
So what? So what does that have to
He
do
would
with you?
take a disabled person, leave them in their room, and go and enjoy himself on a cruise.
No, Miss Tigger. Please, please. That's really not what happened. And I don't blame you at all for deciding that Mr. Davidson was not giving your husband the kind of compassionate care that you thought he should have. But that doesn't mean you can recoup the ticket unless he left voluntarily.
He did leave voluntarily.
No, he did not leave voluntarily. He did not. You had him ejected from the ship. You just told me that you found him in the library. You had made arrangements for him. He did not even respond to you when you said to him, you're leaving now and you have to pack quickly because you only have a few minutes. You took him to his cab. I said, what had he respond? He said he went, he didn't know what to say. Now, if you had let him remain on the cruise ship for the entire course of your 10-day cruise, and if he did not, in fact, perform his duties, but he took full advantage of this vacation, then you might have had a cause of action. But you arranged for him to leave.
2.5 days after the incident, when he goes around like he's Mr. Hotshot, enjoying the cruise, yes, to tell you the truth, it totally disgusted me. That
So
he would
then
do
you
that.
made
And defaming me to passengers and giving out his business card, which I had never seen before.
Doesn't make any difference. Giving out his business card and telling passengers that you assaulted him is not... You may consider it a reason, and it may be a reason because you say, look, he's talking badly of me, he's giving out his business card, and I'm footing the bill. So I'm getting him off this ship. That's what happened. So you did. You have to pay for it. You lose. The only thing that I have to consider is your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I do, in fact, believe, Mr. Davidson, that at some point you said, I don't want to do this anymore. You may have said it to her after she either pushed you on the arm or slapped you on the arm. You're not accustomed to that. I believe she probably did it out of anger because she saw that her husband either might have been hurt, his foot might have been hurt. But I don't believe that you have a cause of action. You had an option. When she came to you and said to you, you are leaving in Ireland, you could have said to her, I'm not going anywhere.
Yes, ma'am.
And just continue to enjoy the sea breeze.
Yes, ma'am.
And I will stay as far away from them as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't do that. That was your choice. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He had every intention of having an incident, hurting my husband, and then quitting so he could get a free cruise.
Paula is a control freak, and if you don't do what she says, the second she says it, she flips out.
And now the next case.
All parties on Turner versus Peak. Step forward.
33-year-old flight engineer Christopher Turner is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old child care provider Anna Peak, for the return of a computer monitor and a web camera. Anna says they were gifts.
You used to be the defendant's boyfriend. He broke up some time ago. You say that she has some property that belongs to you. She says everything that she has, that you claim belonged to you, were gifts. That's what this case is about.
That's correct.
Let's talk about the phone. What kind of phone are we talking
It
about?
was a Sony 900 megahertz phone. It was a little black phone. I used to call her on the phone, and when she used to go out and feed her ducks and chickens, her old phone she had just was constant static. So I got tired of hearing it after a while, so I just said, hey, I got an extra phone you can borrow. And I brought it over one day, and she used it from then on. I never actually said you can have it as a gift or anything like that.
What else?
A net cam.
A net cam. What's a net cam?
A net cam is something you hook up your computer, and you can get on Microsoft Net Meeting, and you can talk two ways, and it shows a video on it also.
Net cam. So tell me the circumstances surrounding you giving her the net cam.
I'm in the military, so when I go TDY, basically temporary duty, I go and fly to Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, and stuff like that for my job. So I always bring my laptop with me. So I got an extra net cam. I saw her online, so I asked her to bring up the program for...
Just a minute. You got an extra net cam. Do you have a net cam?
Yes, I do.
And what did you do with yours?
The first one I have, I let her borrow, and I just showed her
And
how
she
it
was your
worked.
girlfriend?
Yes, she was.
So you are telling me that you said, I am giving you this net cam that you can borrow, but if we break up, you have to give it back because I'm just loaning it to you.
I never actually said it because I don't ever actually think we're going to break up or nothing like that.
Of
I
course,
guess I'm
that's
I'm an
Mr. Turner.
optimistic
That's
person.
exactly what I'm saying, sir. You got it. That's exactly what I'm saying, because I don't think it's kind of romantic. You're off doing this TDY or whatever. You want to be as close as possible to your girlfriend, so you want to be able to communicate with her. So you go out and buy a new one. Not very romantic. You give her the old one, you keep the new one, but, you know, maybe you really weren't so sure about the relationship. What's next, Mr. Turner?
Basically a monitor also that I
A
borrowed.
monitor. When did you give her the monitor?
Around December 18th.
December 18th. Under what circumstances did you give her the monitor? I assume this was for a computer.
Yeah, I built her a computer also. I built computers as a hobby. Well, she had a little 14-inch monitor, and I went to a computer show, and I needed an extra monitor also, so I got a good deal on one.
So you bought yourself a new one?
Yes, I did.
And you gave her your old one?
I took the new one out, put on my computer desk is like a two-tiered desk. So I already got one 17-inch monitor. When I put the second one on there, the second tier couldn't handle sort of bows in the middle. So I just put my 14-inch monitor on there and let her borrow the other one.
You walk into her house and you've got this new monitor, and you're in love.
Well, I don't know if it's... okay.
And it's a few days before Christmas. So you say to her, I have something here that you can borrow?
No, what I did, I had the computer wrapped up. I actually wrapped up a monitor because I had a necklace in there also.
Just a second. You wrapped up the monitor?
It's how, well,
Just
it was...
a second. You wrapped up the monitor?
Yes.
In what kind of paper did you wrap the monitor?
It was Christmas wrapping paper.
And within that same package, you were also going to give her a necklace.
Yes.
Was it wrapped in the same Christmas paper?
It was actually in a computer box.
So you
originally
brought
I was
over three presents
That's correct.
wrapped in Christmas paper.
The monitor wasn't a present. I was just gonna, when I gave it to her, I said, hey, here's a computer. It wasn't a computer. When she opened up, she saw it was a computer. I said, what's in the big box is actually a smaller box. The other one I'm just gonna let you borrow.
You said that to her,
That's correct.
Mr. Turner.
No, he didn't.
You would have been out the door. What did she give you for Christmas?
A couple shirts, some pants, and something else. I'm not sure what it is.
Cologne, obsession,
Oh, cologne.
Yeah, clone also.
and it's a little gift bag with little playful stuff.
As far as you're concerned, all of these things were gifts.
Correct. Well,
You don't have to say any more. Correct.
yes.
It's easy. Mr. Turner, get over it. They were all gifts. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
17-year-old Jordan Washington are suing Jordan's former basketball coach, Devin Johnson, for stealing his iPod.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 22 on the calendar in the matter of Harris, Washington versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
How old are you?
17.
What's your first name?
Jordan.
Jordan, you are a very tall boy.
Yes.
Woo! 17 years old. How tall are you?
6'6".
Life's not fair. All I wanted to be was 5'4".
All I wanted to do was be rich.
You made it.
Yeah.
Jordan, you play baseball?
Basketball.
Basketball. And this was your coach,
Yes.
not your coach anymore.
Yes.
And you and your mother are suing him over an iPod.
Correct.
An iPod that Mr. Johnson said he did in fact sell. He's not even sure it belonged to you, but he has some story to tell me that he thinks justifies taking your iPod and selling it, and then he has a counterclaim for certain money that he says he extended to you, Jordan, and some harassment nonsense. So, Mr. Johnson, why don't you tell me about the iPod?
I know very little about the iPod until the incident happened.
Well, you were traveling, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you traveling?
It was in July of 2009.
And you were traveling with the team?
Yes, ma'am.
Jordan was a member of the team.
At that time, yes, ma'am.
You were traveling by bus?
We rented a 12-passenger van.
Is he the tallest one on the team?
At that time, yes, he was.
Where'd you get the iPod from, Jordan?
I bought it from a friend,
What friend?
Caleb.
When did you buy it from Caleb?
Say about March of 09,
How much did you pay him for it?
300,
Back in March of 09, what were they selling them for in the store?
400, 450.
Why wouldn't you buy one from the store?
Because my friend was selling it for cheaper.
Where did he get it from?
He got it from the store.
Okay. So tell me, now you're traveling by bus, Mr. Johnson, and what happened?
Well, to make the story right, My witness here can testify as to when the iPod first came in question.
Okay. Who are you?
Tammy Williams.
How do you know these people?
I'm his wife, and I'm the team manager, team mom. I take care of all the tournaments, make all the reservations.
Tell me what you know about this iPod.
I do know that we had got to our destination.
Which was where?
Las Vegas, Nevada. And Jordan approached me and told me that his iPod was missing. I told him, did you check your bag good enough? And Jordan said he did and he couldn't find it. Told him, go check the van. He said, well, maybe someone took it. And I told him, no one took it. So let everyone get their stuff out the van first. Go back and search the van. It's probably in the van. After that, I didn't hear anything about it until a couple days later. That time I had assumed that Jordan had found it because he never mentioned it anymore.
Okay. Then you can pick it up, Mr. Johnson.
Well, I was made aware of an incident concerning a player having money stolen from him. And so we decided to have a team meeting to try to get to the bottom of what was going on. And during that meeting, it was discovered, which he later admitted to, that Jordan was the perpetrator of stealing the $20 from the other teammate.
Well, tell me what Jordan said to you at that meeting.
At the initial meeting, when we had everybody, we called it kind of holding court. And so when I confronted Jordan, it was laughed off at like it was a prank. So at that time, I was like, man, give him his money back and be done with it. And
Okay,
that was the last I heard
Jordan,
at that time.
is that correct?
That's incorrect.
Tell me about the $20.
Okay.
Don't look up there. Up there's not going to help you.
Okay, after my iPod was missing for about 2 days, I was upset, and I seen a wallet on the bed, and I looked in it, and there's some money in there. I was upset about the iPod, so I just took I took $20 out of the iPod. I mean, out of the wallet.
Out of one of your teammates' wallets?
Yes, it was just sitting there.
I don't care if it was sitting there or doing a jig. You stole $20 out of his wallet.
Okay.
So, Mr. Johnson, you gave the player the $20?
Actually, my wife gave the player
the $20.
He had been given the opportunity to return that money earlier in the day, and he never would do that. He told me he had left the money in his bag in the room, and I told him I would be going in his bag to retrieve the money to give it back to the player. When I got to the room, there was no money in the bag. So I had to wait for Jordan to come back from sightseeing to once again have the team meeting again and confront him about the $20.
And what happened at that meeting?
This is when his whole attitude really flipped on me. He, matter of fact, told me that he had no intentions of returning the money. And I was kind of thrown aback, and I asked him, well, why? What's going on? Why would you take your teammate's money? And he said, well, somebody stole my iPod. And I said, Jordan, nobody stole your iPod. I said, I got 12 teenagers pretty much living out of a 12-passenger van. The van is a mess. Did you go down there and search it? He said, no. I said, I'll tell you what, I am going to sleep. I'm tired. I've been coaching all day. I've been driving most of the time. I'm tired. You have till I wake up the next morning to go clean the van out to go get your iPod. If I get down there the next morning and I find that iPod, it belongs to me now because I had to pay the kid the $20 to keep the peace. And I basically told him he sold his iPod for $20.
So you said, I returned the $20 that you stole to the young man. If I go down and find your iPod, the iPod belongs to me.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went down, and lo and behold, what'd you find in the van?
First thing, when I opened the door, I looked under the seat where he was sitting, and there's a beautiful iPod sitting right under the seat where he was sitting at.
So what'd you do with it?
I walked up to the room, pretty upset still. I'm a coach. I get kind of animated. And I told him, I said, look, you got to the next morning when we get back home in Bakersfield. Bring me my $20, or the iPod is mine, and I'll do with it whatever I want to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money? No. Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Jordan Washington says his former basketball coach, Devin Johnson, stole his iPod. Devin says he was trying to teach Jordan a lesson, and he is countersuing for an unpaid loan.
Now, Jordan, why didn't you return the $20 to the coach? I believe what he says, that he said to you, I have your iPod. When we get back to Bakersfield, give me the $20 back, because nobody stole your iPod. You just dropped it on the floor. Just give me back the $20, and I'll give you the iPod. Otherwise, I'm going to sell the iPod or do whatever I want to do with it, and I'll pay myself back. Why didn't you just give him back the $20?
I didn't have the $20 at the time.
What'd you do with it?
I already spent it.
On what?
Vegas. It was Vegas. Spent it.
May I say something, Your Honor? And actually, mind you, when he left to leave with us to Vegas, he didn't have his tournament money, and he had no money in his pocket. My wife felt sorry for him and was giving him spending money during that time just to put something in his pocket. So he didn't even have to steal from the boy. It might not have been a lot of money, but it was $10 here, $10 there, and that
Jordan,
he didn't appreciate that.
Did the Johnsons give you any money when you were traveling?
They gave me approximately $10. They gave me $10 to eat. Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Actually, Your Honor, I was purchasing him food, as other boys. He wasn't the only one. Some of them had more money than others. When they wanted to go sightsee, I gave him money. I gave that day, over the time, I gave over a couple $100. I'm giving 10 here, 15 here, and buying their meals.
You have some source of revenue from this team?
No.
No, actually, Your Honor, it's just a neighborhood traveling team. I just started to try to help at-risk kids in our community.
How is it funded?
By car washes, and then whatever we don't make up on car wash, we've split amongst the kids, and they had to come up with $20, $25, whatever to travel.
Well, how do you get the van? The van is more than $20, $25.
Through car washes, we kick in some money. You know, we just do what's necessary. Actually, Your Honor, I have a little article and some stuff that has, to show that we've been doing it for 8 years now. We're very serious about trying to make a difference.
How long were you on the team, Jordan?
I say about 3 months.
How long were the other kids on the team?
Since they were young, childhood.
What?
When Jordan told me what had happened, Jordan, I, and a friend had met with Mr. Johnson at the park. We waited till he finished Little League football. He was coaching. And I talked to him about the iPod. He told me what had happened. And he never once brought up that Jordan owed him any money. I asked him for the iPod back. He said that he had sold it. I said, well, you're either going to have to give him the iPod back or the money. And he just basically said, take him to court. And he went on and on about street justice, and I'm from the hood, and this is how we deal with that. And I said, I don't care where you're from. Legally, you're not supposed to hold somebody's property in payment of anything.
You're right.
Excuse me,
Now, just a second. You're right. But what I want to know, Ms. Harris, is what did you do and say to your son with regard to stealing this boy's money because he was angry?
I told Jordan he was wrong and he was going to have to accept responsibility.
Did he give the money back?
And no money was ever mentioned to me.
Listen to me. You didn't hear my question, Miss Harris.
Did he give the money back?
Did he give the money back to the boy who he stole it from?
No, he didn't.
Well, you come back to me, Miss Harris, when your son gives back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. You come back to me and ask for some justice from the court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You can't come into a court and say, I stole, but there are no consequences. And somebody who, in effect, took the law into his own hands and decided what an appropriate response would be in his capacity as coach, I think it was wrong. Put your hand down, sir. I think it was wrong. But he doesn't have clean hands. He sort of thinks it was okay because he thought somebody stole his iPod. It was okay for him to steal out of somebody's wallet. Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money?
No.
Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
He basically was trying to get the iPod back.
No. That had nothing to do with it. You're making excuses for him, Miss Harris. That's an excuse. He just said to me he was mad because he thought somebody stole his iPod, so he was going to steal somebody's money.
Yes.
There were 12 people. I mean, more likely than not, he lost it rather than somebody stealing it. As it happened, that's what happened. He lost it. He found it, but he didn't even bother to look for it. It wasn't right under his nose, so he assumed somebody stole it. But that doesn't give him the right to go and steal somebody's money. So you come to me after your son pays back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. Then I'm going to entertain his case for the return of his iPod. We understand each other, Jordan?
Yes.
Perfect. How long ago did you steal this money?
It was during the trip, July 7th.
You've had almost a year to return the money.
The boy and I made arrangements.
To what?
To where I would have to, help him with his homework. I go to the same high school as he did.
And?
He struggles in a subject, and I help him, and the debt is already paid off. Instead of paying him $20, I helped him on his homework.
Why didn't you pay him back his $20 and help him with his homework anyway?
Your Honor, I find it real funny that he says he helped this man with his homework. Jordan has been in 5 schools in the last 4 years because of academic and failing grades. Caleb is a top-notch student. There's no way this young man is going to help that kid with his homework. He's 50 credits behind in school. I tried to help him out with coaching my football team to earn 10 more credits. He didn't complete that.
Does that sound right, Mr. Washington?
That's not true.
What subjects were you helping Caleb in?
Algebra, math.
Algebra is math.
Oh, yes.
Come to me with proof, sir, that you, in fact, paid back the $20, and I'll hear your claim with regard to the return of your iPod. It is your claim that you advanced some money to Jordan.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can't create a debt with a minor.
I understand that, Your Honor, but...
Unless his mother agreed to repay you.
Can I tell you how that came about?
Absolutely.
During that time, Caleb was living with his father. I had never met the mother until after this incident, okay? When I brought Jordan home, I presented the iPod to his dad. It was not received because there was a question to where he got the iPod from.
What do you mean it wasn't received?
Well, when I tried to give the iPod to his father said, I don't want it because I don't know where my son got it from, and through his investigation, he couldn't find out where he got it from. So he would not take the iPod back. So that's when I decided I had to go ahead and sell it because it was a question. When can I bring my counterclaim up?
I asked you about it, but you were hell-bent on telling me this story, which isn't, as it happened, an interesting story.
Now, when I'm suing for the counterclaim, he didn't have his tournament money. It was agreed upon, what I assumed his parents, that when we returned.
With whom?
Well, at the time it was his father, but I didn't know his mother was involved in his life at the time. So I didn't know, if it was either one. They both, whoever has supposed to have custody of them now. But on top of that,
tournament money, sir, is not unnecessary. It's not food, clothing, or shelter. So you can't hold Miss Harris responsible.
He needed food and shelter while he was in Vegas.
But you didn't make an agreement with her.
Okay.
To take him on a tournament. You made an agreement with his father.
I concede that, no problem. Now, I have another question now that I'm going for harassment, because him, his mother, and the boyfriend approached my practice, disrupted my practice, and were claiming about the iPod, and then totally...
You better stop doing that, Miss Harris. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your son is a thief. He stole money. That's what you should be concerned about. I don't know if he stole the iPod. I believe the story Mr. Johnson tells me that his father says, I'm not touching this iPod because I don't know where he got it from. Because certainly I didn't give him $300 for an iPod. And I assume that at the time he was living with his father. Is that right?
No, he was there on summer vacation with his father.
I assume he was living with his father at the time.
Yes.
That's living with. Summer. Do you mean June, July, and August?
Yes.
Okay. So he was living with his father and he wasn't sure. Did you give him $300 for an iPod?
No.
Was he working?
Yes.
Where?
Paper route.
When?
He's been doing the paper route since '07.
And so the money he got from the paper route he used to buy the iPod, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Did you tell that to your father?
No, my father knew nothing about the iPod.
He says he went to return it.
Until that's the only time he knew about the iPod, me having an iPod.
Huh.
Your Honor, when his father called me and told me about the incident in Vegas, he never mentioned to me about an iPod or about Coach D having his iPod. Him and Coach D are friends. They've known each other for years. And he basically didn't want to get involved because Jordan is his son and the coach is his friend.
Miss Harris, who started this problem?
Jordan, by stealing.
Right. I'm not excusing Mr. Johnson. I think that he did the wrong thing by selling the iPod, if he sold it. But your emphasis should not be on Mr. Johnson. Your emphasis should be on your son's conduct.
Yes, ma'am. He's basically a good kid, and this never happened before.
Fine. If he's basically a good kid and this never happened before, fine. But don't make excuses. And the fact that it sounds to me like Mr. Johnson donates a lot of time to the community to try to do good things, right?
Yes, but it was wrong what he did.
Yes, it was wrong what he did. He didn't steal. He exercised bad judgment with regard to teaching your son a lesson.
Yes.
That's different from stealing. That's different from a conscious act of trying to deprive someone else of their property knowing it's the wrong thing to do. And that's where your emphasis should be. And I suggest you and your son and your boyfriend stay away from Mr. Johnson. And if you want to see me again, you'll come back to see me again, having established to my satisfaction that your son's debt is paid. Do we understand each other?
Yes. Can I say
That's
one more
all.
thing?
Former best friend, 23-year-old office manager Victoria Oakley, for her share of a trip to Jamaica.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 143 on the calendar in the matter of Eccles versus Oakley.
Thanks, Bert.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You gals were best friends for a long time, according to what I've read in your paper, since you were practically children. And, Miss Eccles, there came a time when you wanted to go on vacation. You wanted to go together. You didn't have any money at the time. You put the entire vacation on your credit card. You claimed with the understanding that the defendant would reimburse you. You went on the vacation. She didn't pay.
Right.
Okay. When was this vacation planned?
Around April of last year, maybe a month before.
And where were you going?
To Jamaica, the West Indies.
For a week?
Which she suggested to go.
And how did it come about that you decided to go?
Well, we had a little breakup at the time. You know, me and her usually break up every 6 months or so. And I don't know, we were driving, we obviously made up driving on Queens Boulevard. She said, let's go to Card and Travel, charge a trip, come on, you're starting at NYU, I'm going to work, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, no problem. Put it on my credit card because I know you're not working, not a problem. And went right in, she gave me $50 towards the trip. I charged $2,300, she gave me $50, and agreed to pay me back, verbally.
Tell me about the conversation with regard to reimbursing you, if there was one. And if there wasn't one,
it was pretty much no problem, Vic. You know, anytime you get your job, I know you're going to get your job at Bloomingdale. She was applying for it. I knew she'd get it. She gets everything she wants. And I said, no problem. When you get your job, you pay me back. I didn't bring anything up about interest.
Okay, just a second. So you said to her, when you get your job, you'll pay me back. What did she say to you, if you remember?
A nod, a yes, okay, sure, no problem, everything. That's how we talk. We were best friends. I knew she would pay me back. I bought her clothes, she paid me back. I lent her money for jackets, she'd pay me back.
Okay.
Anytime I lent her money, she paid me back.
We're not talking about clothes and jackets
All right.
here. Now, Miss Eccles, we're talking about
The
this
trip.
vacation trip. According to you, there did come a time when she did give you some money towards the trip. Is that right?
$250.
When?
4/9, 6/20, 7/14, and 9/19, the year 1999.
Let me see.
This is all, I kept it on a little piece of paper.
No.
There's 4 times. She paid me $50 here, $50 there, 100 here,
What?
100 there.
The reason I put the $50 down was because I was the one that went to the travel agent and booked it, and they needed $50 down.
We were the ones that went.
Just a
We
second.
went to the travel agent.
We didn't go
Just
together.
a second. Shh. In September, did you give her $100?
Yeah,
You did?
I did. Not for that.
Not for that?
No, I gave it to her because she needed money. That's the friendship
Here
we had.
go. Sorry.
Just a second. In July, did you give her $100?
I don't remember the date, but yes, I did give her another $100.
Okay. So let's hear your version of these events.
Okay.
Please.
During that time, Denise and I were going through graduating college and trying to move forward. We were a little stressed out. I said, I need a vacation. She did. She was my travel buddy. We went everywhere together. We were best friends. I'd give her money if she needed it. She'd give it to me. She did a lot for me. She was there for me when I needed somebody. And she turned around and said, Vic, why don't we book the trip? Let's just do it. I said, I don't have the money for that. And she said, well, I have my loans coming in from school. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. At that time, I didn't even know about Bloomingdale's, so as far as me getting my job, I didn't start Bloomingdale's until August, so that has nothing to do with it. So she said, why don't you go? She couldn't come with me at the time. She said, go to the travel agent and get the information. I put the $50 down because I was the only one there. And then she went back and paid the balance at a separate time. We weren't together. I never agreed to pay her back the money.
What?
Shh. No. Shh.
What? What? I'm sorry.
Don't say what
I'm
again.
sorry.
Quiet.
What? I'm sorry. I really am.
It was your suggestion to go away on the vacation, according to you.
It
That's
was
what you
my
just
suggestion.
said. So it was
That
your
was it.
suggestion. Why don't we go away on vacation?
I said I needed a vacation.
Well, you said you needed a vacation. Neither one of you had a lot of money.
No.
I had credit, though.
Shh.
Sorry.
She had credit. I didn't.
Neither one of you had a lot of money, right?
Right.
That,
Shh. And you were good friends.
Yeah.
And she was going to college,
Graduate school.
graduate school.
Yes. September.
And you were really good friends.
Yeah, we had plans to move out together that August.
You were really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you were well aware of the fact that graduate school was very important to her.
Oh, absolutely.
And that school loans usually don't cover all the expenses from school, right?
Right.
Usually people have to supplement those loans with getting a part-time job and other things, especially graduate school loans, right?
Right.
So that if she were to take the full $2,300 for the trip, charging your trip as well as hers, and pay for that from her graduate school loans, which she had not gotten yet,
Correct.
that would have not been a smart thing for her to do as a person who was serious about school, right? She might have been short in her tuition,
Correct.
right? And you were a very good friend.
Correct.
So you wouldn't want her to be short on
Not
her
at all.
tuition.
Nope.
And that was the only money she had, right?
Yep.
So as a very good friend, as you said, you were going to move in together, I cannot imagine you expecting her to not have enough money to pay for her tuition in order to take you on a trip.
I wasn't expecting her to take me on a trip. She offered it because we needed
I
it.
just said, you're the friend.
I am. Mm-hmm.
And I cannot imagine a really good friend for over a decade allowing their best buddy to risk not having enough tuition because they took you on a trip to Jamaica. What I can imagine,
May I?
Miss Oakley, is the best friend saying, listen, between now and the time you need the money for tuition, I will have started my job and I'll be able to start paying you.
Which is why I gave her the money.
Which is why you gave her the $200. Well, that's,
she needed
that,
it.
just a second.
Not to pay back
There
the
you
trip, because she
go.
needed it.
You just said, which is why then I
Because
gave
she
her
needed
back
it.
the money.
Because she needed it.
No, that's not
She
why.
wasn't working. She needed
Hey.
the money.
That wasn't why.
Miss Eccles,
Okay.
does it look as if you're having a hard time before me?
No, but there's so much more to this than you can imagine.
I'm not interested in
I know.
so much
I
more.
know. I know, but I just want to tell her.
I mean, I read the papers that there was some hurt because one of your grandmothers died.
That'd be me. I
Brain
didn't even get a
cancer.
phone call.
You were hurt because you didn't get a phone call from her. When did your grandmother pass away?
Last month.
Last month, so you were angry. Well,
No,
last
I'm not
month has
angry.
nothing to do with not paying back this money before that.
I'm not angry.
So you did give her $250 because you thought she needed the money.
Because I knew she needed the money. Because her loans fell through, school wasn't working out, and she wasn't working.
Oh, well, this may be even an easier case to decide than calling you a bit of a fibber, Miss Oakley. You...
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What she told me was, don't worry about it. I have the loans coming. I'll have money. That's what she said to me.
Her loans fell through.
They did.
There, make it easy. I don't have to call you a total fibber.
And later today,
Pay attention, Mr. Williams. Who's smarter, do you think, you or me?
Probably you. You're older than me.
Even when I was your age.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Denise Eccles says former friend Victoria Oakley never paid her part of their trip to Jamaica.
Miss Oakley, you do agree, and I've read in your answer, that the agreement that you say she offered to pay for your part of the trip out of the school loans that she was going to get.
She didn't say that she was paying for it out of her loans, but what she told me was, don't worry about it. I have the loans coming. I'll have money. That's what she said to me.
Okay.
Don't
I'll
worry.
have the loans coming, so I will have enough money to
She-
pay. I will have the loans, therefore I will have the money to pay for your trip. You accepted this trip, understanding that your portion of the trip was to be paid, according to you, and I don't believe you, but according to you, it was to be paid from the loans that she was going to get. That was your understanding.
That's my understanding.
Her loans fell through.
They did.
Then you got to pay. There, make it easy. I don't have to call you a total fibber. There was a contingency on her paying for your half of the trip, and the contingency of her paying for your half of the trip was that she got loans. Her loans fell through. Therefore, you have to pay. Now, that's one scenario. And the first scenario, which I believe better, was that as soon as you got your job, you would start reimbursing her. You ultimately got your job in Bloomingdale's, and you were supposed to start to pay her when you started to work. All right, what does she owe you for half the trip? $950?
And interest?
You're suing her for $950.
Okay, it's $950.
That's what you're suing her for.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $950.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't have any kind of a grudge against her, and I hope that maybe one day we can be friends. She was wrong, I was right, that's it. The weather was terrible, it was just a terrible trip. Beautiful trip. Got the pictures to prove.
And now the next case.
All parties on Dold versus Williams. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Brian Dold is suing classmate 18-year-old Taylor Williams for denting his car during a physical altercation.
Mr. Dold, you claim that the defendant damaged your car, which is what you're suing for.
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint also alleges that he assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was sort of curious that you weren't suing for the assault, but just for the damage on the car. Did you file a police report about this?
Yes, ma'am. I have it right here.
Was he arrested for the assault?
No, ma'am, he was not.
All right. Tell me how this altercation started, sir. Where were you?
We were at the Oak Meadow Recreational Center in a neighborhood. We were sitting at the park. It was me, my girlfriend, and 3 other friends. Mr. Williams here came into the park with Kenny. Started asking
So you knew each other?
No. I just knew of him, knew his name, but I never talked to Taylor before.
Had you seen him before?
Yes, at school.
In the past?
Yeah.
So you knew who he was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we were in the park, and Mr. Williams approached me and my girlfriend and 3 other people with Kenny, and they asked the whereabouts of my friend Shane. I told him I don't know where Shane's at, and Taylor replied, I think you do. And I said, no, I don't. And he smelled of alcohol and seemed agitated and getting closer to me. So my girlfriend grabbed me by the arm. We started walking to my vehicle. Taylor runs to my vehicle, stumbles, lands into my door, and punches me once in the nose and attempts 2 more times. But I managed to block it with my arms.
And how did he damage your car?
When his body ran into the door, it caused 3 dents, which I have pictures of here.
Okay, I'll take a look at the pictures in a minute. All right, Mr. Williams. Not a difficult situation so far. Tell me your version of the events, sir.
Okay, I never met Mr. Doley, but he's had previous encounters with my friends before.
With your friends. Now, were those friends who he had previous encounters with you that day in the park?
We have a big group of friends, and it was with all our friends. But
Mr. Williams, pay careful attention. So that the people that you believed had confrontations with the plaintiff before were not with you in the park that day?
No, they weren't.
How many people were in the park with you?
I went with my friend Kenny because we were riding around with our...
How many people were with you?
1 friend was with me.
Did you get to the park by car, or did you walk to the park?
Yes, ma'am. We were riding around in my friend Greg's car.
You were with 2 other friends that day, then?
Yes, ma'am.
Not
and
one
of
but
Brian's
2.
friends called us on his cell phone and was telling us how Brian and his friends wanted to fight us and just talk trash to our friends. And in the past, I have a Jewish friend, and Brian... And
Just a second. You're on your cell phone. Somebody is telling you that this unnamed person, Shane, wants to fight with you and your friends, right?
That's correct.
You think that he knows where Shane is.
No, Brian's friends with Shane, and he was in on it too.
So you went up to them. They were in the park.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went up to him and said what?
I went up and I said, what's the problem? Because I'd never met him before. And I wanted to see what was up. I wanted to know why they wanted to mess with me and my friends.
Oh, okay.
And they were all sitting around drinking, and we didn't get a good response.
We were sitting
Don't speak. They were all sitting around, and you did not get a good response. What do you mean you didn't get a good response, Mr. Williams?
They were all drinking and being obnoxious, and I knew it wasn't going to be anything.
So he didn't answer you?
Nothing good was going to come out of it.
Just pay attention, Mr. Williams. Who's smarter, do you think, you or me?
Probably you. You're older than me.
Even when I was your age.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I heard Brian say something along the lines of, "Hey, man."
So what did you do?
I went and I hit him.
Just changed my mind. Smarter than you were when I was born.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Dold says classmate Taylor Williams dented his car during an assault. Taylor says he never touched the car.
Okay. So you asked him a question. Now he responded something when you asked him a question. What did he respond?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
No, ma'am.
So say, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
And then, according to your answer, he and his girlfriend and another friend walked back to their car, right?
Yes, ma'am. We were walking away, too.
They walked back to their car, correct?
Correct. They were walking back to the car, and we were walking back to our car.
And where was your car parked compared to where their car was parked?
This wasn't Greg's car.
Where was
it? Was on the street, and they were parked in the parking lot.
Okay. So he's walking back to the parking lot, and you're walking back, allegedly, towards the car that you came in.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's pick up the action from there, Mr. Williams.
Okay, I'm walking back to, 3 of our friends pulled up, and I was walking back to their car.
So 3 more friends pulled up.
And they were all girls.
3 more friends pulled up. And you were walking where?
And Kenny and I were walking back to the car.
Which car?
The car that just pulled up, the 3 friends.
The car with the 3 girls?
The 3 new friends.
Okay, so you're walking up to their car.
Mm-hmm.
And?
And I heard Ryan say something along the lines of, "Hey, man." And from what I've heard...
Okay, so you heard him say something that you didn't like, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
It was in a threatening manner, and...
No, just a minute. You remember succinctly that he cursed at you
Yes, I do.
as you were walking to the car with the girls, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
I went and I hit him.
How far did you have to walk to hit him?
10 feet.
He ran.
He ran.
No, I didn't.
You ran.
No, I
Just
didn't.
a second. Ran, walked. You walked up to him and you hit him. Why did you do that?
Because everything I've heard about this guy is nothing good, and every time I've seen him and his friends at school, they just stare at me, and that's the whole reason I was there, because they wanted to fight me. So I figured, if he said, "Hey, man," I mean, I don't know. I know I shouldn't have hit him, but I don't know what this guy's going to do. I didn't know if he was going to.
He was getting into his car.
He was already in the car, right?
He was already in the car when you hit him?
I didn't know if he
Just a second. He was already in the car when you hit him?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see the damage to the car. You idiot. Fool.
I have 2.
Just changed
I didn't
my
hit the
mind.
car,
Also,
though.
Smarter than you were when I was born.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Fool.
Pretty one-sided.
He got little, tiny, whatever. Mr. Williams, if you're going to show off for friends...
I wasn't showing off for friends. I was defending myself. And I hit
No,
Brian Doty. I
Mr.
didn't hit his
Williams.
car.
How can you defend yourself, sir, when according to you, he's sitting in his car? According to you, he's sitting in his car.
He was sitting in his car, but this is a guy that's harassed my friends and me for the previous month in school. And
So what?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Williams, he's in the park with his friends. You go to the park, even though you say he's been harassing you, messing with you and your friends, but you went to find them. They didn't come looking for you.
we saw them.
And, of course you saw them. You saw them there and you went into the park. Now, when you got into the park, and after you had words with him that you don't remember, he tried to get away from the situation before it escalated, took his friends to get back into his car.
No, he didn't try to get away. We both walked off at the same time.
He walked
Everybody
off.
walked off from the situation.
Not you.
I was walking away when I turned around and went and hit him.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $325. I don't think I'm going to get through to him if I had 10 years.
Parties are excused.
It's pretty
You may
one-sided,
step out.
Judy.
Judge Judy is suing her former friend, 23-year-old homemaker Pam Richmond, for throwing away her belongings. Pam says she abandoned them.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 507 on the calendar in the matter of Green versus Richmond. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Green, according to your complaint, you lived with the defendant for a period of time. While you were away on a trip, you claimed that she threw away some of your stuff and kept some of your stuff. You wanted to either replace it or give you the value, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you move into her house?
Because me and my sister had this argument, and she wanted me to leave, so I had nowhere else to go, so she offered me to move into her house with her.
When did you move into the house?
Late March, early April, somewhere around there.
And how long did you stay?
About 4.5, 5 months.
You say you took a trip to Texas. When was that trip to Texas?
November 17th.
What did you tell her when you went to Texas?
I told her I was going to Texas, I will be back. And she's like, okay, fine, all your stuff, you know, things will be here once you get back.
How long did you go for?
2.5 weeks.
Who else lived there? Did you have children with you?
My son.
Did your son go with you to Texas?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And what happened when you got home?
When I got back, I tried to contact her.
What date did you return?
December 1st.
Did you go directly back to your home?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Where did you go?
I went to my friend's house.
Why did you do that?
Because I tried to contact Pam numerous occasions and she never answered the phone, or there's no way I could have got back into her house.
You didn't have a key the 4.5 months you were living there?
No, I didn't. It was a military house and no duplicate keys were able to be made at all.
Well, when did you first make contact with her? You said first you didn't answer the phone, you couldn't get in touch with her.
I couldn't get in touch with her.
Yeah.
I had her cousin LaShonda get in touch with her.
Step up.
Which
one is LaShonda? What's your last name?
Green.
When did you get in touch with the defendant?
Probably 2 days after she went back to San Diego, because I was still in Texas. I called Pamela.
And what was the conversation that you had with her?
Well, I called Pamela. I was like, did you want me to call you to see if you can return her stuff or not, or she was on press charges? And she was like, well, do what you want to do.
Well, there had been no communication with regard to any stuff so far that I had heard.
Well, her clothing, all her personal belongings, all of them are gone. She said that
Well, how do you know
them out.
how did you know they were gone?
She told me.
When did she tell you?
When I talked to her on the phone. I talked to her plenty of times.
Who are you?
I'm her mother. I'm Deidre's mother.
Miss Green's mother?
Yes.
Plaintiff's mother? Yes.
I called.
Were you with your daughter in Texas?
Yes, I was.
Did you travel with her to Texas?
Yes, I did.
Where do you live?
I live in San Diego.
And where do you live?
San Diego?
Why doesn't your daughter live with you?
She does. She does.
Well, why was she living with the defendant?
She was living with the defendant because the defendant offered her a place to go at the time.
Why wasn't she living with you?
She wasn't living with me because at the time I wasn't living here. So she could not stay with me.
Not yet. All right. What items do you claim you left behind?
I only took a week's worth of clothes with me and only one pair of shoes for me and my child. Therefore, all other pairs of shoes, my VCRs, pictures, legal documents that I cannot get back, such as my high school diploma, is gone. All the clothes, everything I practically owned is gone.
Okay. Those papers, documents, et cetera, that you would have to replace, put those aside for the moment. Other than the VCR, what appliances or furniture did you leave there?
My VCRs and my bedroom set.
And a bedroom set?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you moved in with?
Yeah, besides my clothes and everything, yes.
All right. Do you have her VCR?
Nope.
Did you have her uncross your hands. Did you have her VCR?
Yep.
Try yes, not
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
You're not in a ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Where's her VCR?
In the trash.
Why did you throw it in the trash?
Because she left me with a phone bill, 2 phone bills that she did not pay. She had plenty of opportunity because I did not throw her stuff out until December 28th before I got ready to go on vacation to Texas.
Did you try to contact her with regard to the phone bills?
I don't know how to get in contact with her. Her mother called me 3 times.
When her mother called you 3 times, did you tell her about the phone bill?
Yes, I did.
Did you tell her how much the phone bill was?
She already knew how much it was.
Did you tell her how much it was?
No.
How much was the phone bill?
Both totaling is $175.
And those were her calls?
Yes.
Can I see those, please? Now, what about her bedroom set?
It's gone too.
What did you do with it?
I gave it to Goodwill.
Did you get a receipt?
Nope. Didn't want it.
Hmm?
Didn't want it.
They didn't want what?
I didn't want the receipt.
These were your phones to Pendleton, California and Vista, California?
Pendleton and Vista, true enough, yeah.
Are your phone bills? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. But when I left a message on her phone about a phone bill that I got. I said, well, when I get the money, I will give you, the amount for your phone bill. She never got back to me about the phone bill at all.
Did you leave her a telephone number where you could be reached? You were staying at a friend's
on her
house.
answer machine, yes.
You did?
Mm-hmm. And she also has caller ID where it comes up on her answer machine. That's how she didn't answer my calls.
All right. What about her clothes?
It was barely anything there.
What was there?
She had maybe a couple old outfits that she didn't wear, and her bedroom set, her VCRs.
Your Honor, can I say something? I cleaned the room up. and I know what was in the room.
I was also there.
Okay, let me hear.
I hate to disrespect, the court and everything, but I'm going to tell you the truth, what was in that room. She had molded bread and paper. I cleaned it out, and she had a couple of rags she had left. It wasn't no VCR in that room. The bedroom set was there, and she did give it to Goodwill. I cleaned the room out when I come from Texas on December 15th. I cleaned the room out on the 20th.
Well, she left there November 17th.
But the stuff was still in the room when I got to San Diego.
That means the defendant is some lousy housekeeper.
Well, she had a lock on the door. My brother-in-law had to kick the door in to get in the room. The room was locked.
When you got there, the room was locked?
The room was locked.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's a lie because Pamela told us she had an inspection, and that's the reason she broke into the house, into the bedroom, and that was way before Miss Faye supposedly had came down. When I called her,
when?
In December, I called Pam and asked Pam if she indeed had the things. I said, because you indeed were friends, you are friends, and you do need to settle this. She said, I don't have it. I said, where is it? She said, my mother threw the away. That's what she told me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deidre Green says former friend Pam Richmond threw away her belongings.
Okay, do you have a bill for your bedroom set?
I don't have a bill, but I have a written receipt for it.
Okay, let me see it. When did you purchase it?
My sister actually purchased it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you when she purchased it.
Why, did she give it to you?
No, I had to buy it from her.
How much did you pay for it?
$175 or something.
All right. The original price was $479, so I will accept that. All right? And what about the VCR? How much did you pay for that?
They were 36 something.
The VCR?
Mm-hmm.
$36?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go shopping with her. $36, right?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Your Honor, she have other receipts for her clothing. She has those up there.
Well, how do I know what clothing she took and what clothing she didn't take? I have to
Okay.
do some sort of an estimate on what you would take. You were going to Texas for 2.5 weeks, and then you didn't come home initially. You didn't come home at all, but then you went directly to a friend's house, and you stayed at a friend's house, so you must have had enough clothing to last you. I can't believe that you only took one pair of shoes for your child if you were going away for 2.5 weeks.
Well, because we weren't supposed to be leaving that, we weren't supposed to be gone that long, but it took a little longer than we expected. We was only supposed to be gone for 3 days. That's why.
Did you call her, by the way, and tell her you were going to be gone longer?
She knew.
Don't tell me what she knew.
I called her husband. I talked to her husband. Yes, I did.
What did you tell him when you spoke
I
to him?
said, I'm not going to be able to leave until December 1st, around that time, because I didn't have the money to leave.
Did you have a conversation with your husband?
Yes, I did.
Did he tell you she wasn't going to be home until December 1st?
No, all he told me is that she called saying that I said a lot of stuff about her and my cousin being, and I haven't talked to nobody in Texas to say any of it.
What did you do with her diplomas, all the other papers that she had in the house? What did you do with all that stuff?
When we cleaned it, I did not see a diploma.
You cleaned out the papers?
I just put everything in a bag. And it was
Who asked you to do that?
Well, I helped my daughter. She asked me, would I help her clean out her room? And I told her yes. At the time when we bagged this stuff up, her mother called on the 20th. When I was cleaning out that room, she said, we was on the way to get the stuff. I said, fine. We sit all the stuff in her dining room. And it sit there till the 28th of December.
You mean you had a conversation with her mother?
Yes,
and she said
I did.
She was coming over
yes,
to pick
I
up
did.
the stuff?
Yes, I did.
Yes?
With
Your
my
Honor,
phone
she's
bill
telling
money.
a tale. I called her and I asked her about it. She told me it was gone. And I said, what do you mean it's gone? She said, it's gone. And I said, okay, well, why would Pam throw her stuff away? She said, over a phone bill. I said, what is the phone bill? She said, call Pam and ask Pam when Pam get home. I don't know.
That's a lie. I didn't even know anything about a phone bill.
Okay.
Yes, she did.
All right. Listen, you have no right to get rid of all of her stuff without giving her what I believe to be proper notice. Grandma just came,
We didn't go
throw
through
in the
stuff.
stuff,
We just put it in the bag.
put it in
'cause was
bags, and
stinking in the room.
and got rid of it. It's practically impossible to put a value on all of this stuff. But you say that you spent $175 on the bedroom set, $36 for the VCR, and I am going to give you $500 towards the clothing that you say that you left behind in the house. I don't know how you're going to replace your diploma, except that you call up the school where you got a diploma, say, I lost my diploma and I need it, right? There's a lot more to this story that I don't know. But you can't dispose of somebody else's property. Do you understand that?
Even if it's in my house?
Even if it's in your house. She was an invite. No, now I'm speaking.
Whatever.
She was an invitee into your home. You invited her into your home. She was there for 4.5 months. So she lived there with your permission. You have an obligation to give her notice, not some communication to her mother and her second cousin and her sister. You have an obligation to send her written notice. I'm speaking. You can't just willy-nilly decide to bag her stuff and get rid of it. So judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $711. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She don't like how close we are. She got excluded. That's all it is. It's jealousy.
My daughter had 16 people stand in there because they was on the street. No. And when she had in the room, she didn't have no clothes.
If she wanted, she can have it. Evidently, her and her family needed it more than me and my son did, so there you have it.
And now the next case.
All parties on Smith versus Olden. Step forward, please.
21-year-old student Robin Smith says ex-fiancé, 20-year-old retail manager Jonathan Olden deposited bad checks into her account. Robin says she was left with a $4,000 debt.
Miss Smith, according to what I've read, you and the defendant were dating.
Correct.
And then you were dumb enough to put his name on your joint checking account.
Yes, Your Honor.
Didn't read my last book, did you?
No, Your Honor.
Get a copy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. And Mr. Olden deposited a series of checks into that account, a series of checks that he got from assorted sundry relatives, and the checks turned out to be bad.
Yes, Your Honor.
So far, we agreed on that, sir?
Yes.
But after you deposited the checks, you went and immediately withdrew money from the account, right?
Yes, we both did.
Your Honor, that's incorrect.
Whether you both did or not, you deposited the bad checks into the account and spent all the money, right?
Right.
And then the bank came back against you as primary on the account and said, you owe us all this money because he took it out.
Correct.
And you want the money back?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you living together at the time?
No, we were not.
Why would you do such a foolish thing?
We were speaking about moving in together and living together, so I figured it was the logical thing to do.
Who are you?
Her father.
He promised to pay you back the money.
Correct. I have a letter from him to my father stating...
Can I see it, please?
You sure can.
You are Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Step up, sir. Mr. Smith, I assume, reading between the lines, that you made good the money to the bank.
Not completely, Your Honor.
Who did?
Robbins made half of the payment back to the bank now.
And you paid the other half?
Not yet.
Well, how much did you pay? Because what I read is that he promised to pay you back.
It's correct. He didn't pay me anything.
So according to this letter to Mr. Smith, you apologized for not keeping up with your payments. And you begged his forgiveness, said that you would begin to make your payments on April 15th, right?
Right.
So, give me a defense.
The reason why I didn't make the payments because, first of all, when I was working, it wasn't just myself using the money out of the account. She used money out of the account also, not just myself.
When did you decide that?
I mean, it wasn't to decide. It's what
Well,
happened.
I'm asking you, when did you decide that? Before or after you agreed to make the payments?
Before.
So then what did you agree to make the payments for?
For what I felt responsible for. I don't responsible for all the money.
Well, how much did you feel responsible for? Give me a figure.
About half of it, about $2,000 of it.
Is that what you agreed to pay Mr. Smith back?
No,
How much did you agree to pay him back?
all of it.
So when I said to you, when did you decide on this recent defense that she spent half the money, that was recent that you came up with that defense, right?
Right.
So give me a better defense.
There's no better defense because we both spent the money. I feel like I'm responsible for it because the checks came from the money and the checks came from my family.
Let me ask you this question, sir. It's not a very difficult case, but I just want you to see the absurdity of your defense. What did she buy?
She bought clothes.
Clothes?
This is what I did. I bought clothes to him.
Just a minute. She bought clothes.
Right?
Did she buy clothes because you said we've got some extra money in the bank, we can go buy clothes?
Yeah.
Right. You think she would have bought those clothes anyway?
If there was no money?
Yeah.
No.
Of course not. So she would not have put herself into debt to buy those clothes, right?
Of course not.
You said we got some extra money, let's go shopping, right?
Right.
What was the total amount of money that he deposited in the account that he withdrew?
$4,586.
And how many payments did he make to your father?
He made 2 payments in cash to me at my place of employment at the bank of $200 each on November and December 1st.
So $41.86 is what the balance is that right?
Correct.
Why didn't you make the payments in April? Anything, $25, $50, $100.
Because my engine on my car went, I had no money. I was working, all money was going straight to that.
To your car?
Yeah. To get it was like $2,500 to get my car fixed.
Who do you live with?
I live with my parents.
You live with your parents, so you have no expenses, and you have a car. So are you telling me you couldn't take $100 a month and send it to her?
Now when all my checks were going to trying to get $2,500 to get my motor fixed on my car, no, I couldn't.
Well, how are you getting to work, sir, when you didn't have a car?
My parents or a friend of mine.
That's good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,186. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buddies are excused. You may step out.
Lissa Thomas and her son, 10-year-old Austin Saffil, are suing 39-year-old custodial worker Carlissa Jackson and her son, 12-year-old Joel. Austin claims Joel punched him in the face twice, breaking his nose.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 516 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thomas, it is your claim that the defendant's son broke your son's nose.
Correct.
You want to tell me what happened?
Well, I was walking down the street because my friends said they were going to play football that day. None of them were out there. And then Tyra and Jatiste, the 2 girls that were like friends that lived down the street, and they were yelling out the window. And I didn't understand what they're saying. I was like, well, I'm gonna go home. Then Joe started coming to me, and he was like, what's up, what's up? And then he hit me in my nose. And then I said, I don't want to fight you, and then he hit me in my nose, and it started to bleed.
So were you alone at the time he came up to you?
Yes.
Okay, now let's come to you, Ms. Thomas. How did you find out about your son's nose?
Well, the young lady, Tyra, is one of the girls that was with him, came running up to my...
I thought you said you were alone.
But they were coming out the door at the time. So as he walked up to me, they were coming out the door.
So one of the girls came to your house?
Yes, and she came running up to the door saying, hurry, hurry, Austin's bleeding, he needs you down the street. So I went running down there, and I saw him with his head back like this. There was blood everywhere, all over his clothes, on the ground. And I ripped off my tank top and put it to his face, and I asked him, do you know who did this to you? And they said, it's Joe, and he's right around the corner playing basketball. I said, take me to him. Take me to him right now. And I said, so you're the one who broke my son's nose. And he said, I ain't got time for your drama, B. And started going off on me. Like I was bothering his game of basketball when he just broke my son's nose. I said, so what, you just are going to break my son's nose and act like it's nothing? He's like, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stand out here and argue with a bunch of kids. So I went home, I picked up the phone, I called 911. The cops came out, took him home to his cousin. I had him delivered in a cop car.
Now I'll hear from you.
At first I was walking home from school, and then my best friend asked me did I want to play basketball. So we was over his house playing basketball. His sister Tyra told him that some little boy around the corner was messing with her. So we went around the corner, and as was about to fight him, I stepped in the middle and I told him not to hit him. Then he was talking stuff, and he called
Who's he was talking stuff?
Austin.
Did you know him from before?
No, never seen this.
So what kind of stuff was he talking?
He was like, I'm not scared of him, I'm not scared of him. And then he called me a B, and then I just took off my jacket and I hit him twice.
Do you think that's okay?
If I felt like if I wouldn't have hit him, then he would have hit me.
But he didn't hit you.
I felt like he was about to.
What made you think he was about to hit you?
Because the way he looked at me.
The way he looked at you?
The way he looked at me.
Now, after you hit him twice in the nose, you went back to play basketball.
Yes.
And then his mother came up to you. She just told me that you cursed at her.
No.
Yes, you did.
Well, she was cussing at me. She actually threatened me.
Well, how did she threaten you?
She said she would get a 15 or 16-year-old on me, and she said she'll kill me. That's when she stepped down the street like she was going to hit me, but my best friend, he stepped in front of me and told her to go on because she's not hitting me.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Were you arrested?
Well, taken home, yeah.
After you were taken home, did you have to appear in juvenile court?
No.
Why didn't you press charges against him?
I did press charges, Your Honor, but they were telling me even if I filed and received a misdemeanor on him for the assault charges, the only pain and suffering or anything that I could get was $300.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about teaching him a lesson. How many times have you been in a police car?
Just twice.
When before that were you in a police car?
Some little kids was busting windows, and they mistakenly put me in the police car on accident, and it wasn't me.
It wasn't you?
No.
Let me see your bills.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes.
You know, and also when Austin had, after he had broke his nose, he told my son, he said to everybody in the neighborhood, he kept saying, well, that's what the white boy gets. That's what the white boy gets, you know. And my son, granted, he is light-skinned, but I don't care what shade you are, you know what I mean? This isn't about what color you are. It's about violating my child.
Absolutely right.
So that was another thing, because they think he's a white boy, and he's not just a white boy.
No, he's a boy.
Right, exactly.
He's a boy. What?
I don't feel like it's a racial thing here because my son is not racist, not at all.
He may not be, but he certainly has a little bit of a violent tendency.
I mean, that's all kids is like that. When
No,
you're
all kids aren't like
this
that.
he was.
All kids aren't
he
like
was
that.
cursing too.
Cursing
So-
is one thing. Listen to me.
Uh-huh.
Your son went up to him, came around the corner, came up to him, and hit him in the face because he didn't like the way he looked at him, according to him.
No.
He looked as if he might be going to hit him, so he hit him first, twice. But he went looking for him. He came around the corner, and before he even found out what was going on, I mean, I read his answer. His answer was he was protecting some little girl that he thought he was teasing. He was in a confrontation with another friend. That's a lot of baloney. He came around the corner, and he hit him twice. And he's responsible. He's responsible for his broken nose. He's responsible for all the medical bills, and he's responsible for pain and suffering. He's responsible for that.
I understand that.
What? You want to say something, sir?
Yes. Your Honor, when I received the phone call from my wife that the incident had taken place, I rushed home. During the time that my wife was filing a report, she had noticed that two of the young men that were at the scene were walking by snickering. And so I asked him to come here, and I asked him, I said, you know what, I want to know which one of you two were the one calling my wife out of her name. And they began to tell me that Joe is one of the kids in the neighborhood that he thinks he has to go for bad or whatnot. He has to prove something to himself. And that the girls that he accuses my son of making fun of, we have written testimonies from the young ladies. They warned Austin to run because they knew that Joe was going to go up to him and fight him for no reason at all. I asked the police officer to make sure his mother calls us. She wanted to know what happened. And she explained to me that, you know, it doesn't surprise her that her son, you know, might have did this, but she wanted to hear both. She wanted to hear both sides of the story. She is well aware that Joe is one way with her and another way out in the neighborhood, and she can't understand why he acts that way because her other children, her other young boys, don't act that way.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 10-year-old Austin Saffel says neighbor 12-year-old Joel Jackson punched him in the face and broke his nose. Joel says he thought Austin was going to hit him first.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I spoke to her one time as Austin's mother. She informed me that she wants to hurry up and get the court situation over with. And I just hung up on her. I flat out hung up on her. You know, how are you going to call me and tell me that we need to hurry up and get this over with? Well, so would I, but I have to go to an ENT for my son's nose. His nose has to be broke now 2 times because he has a lump coming out of the side of his nose. You know, hello, this doesn't end for me just because I go to court.
So you have to do additional medical procedures other than the $2,059 that you've already spent.
Yes, it's $85 just for us to show our face into the ENT clinic.
Could you step up, please? I want to take a look at your nose. Where is it broken?
It's broke right down here, right in here.
You have any medical report in your file?
Yes, I do.
Can I see? Step back to your folks, please. Do you have any other report with regard to the procedure for re-breaking his nose and resetting it?
I asked them what it will cost for Austin's nose. They said every nose varies. Some noses run $1,000, some runs $500. They just don't know until they see it.
Well, right now you have about $2,100 in out-of-pocket expenses just for his medical visits.
Yes, and I have no insurance because my husband got a better paying job, and his insurance doesn't even kick in for 90 days. So this is, every time I've went, it's self-pay, self-pay. I mean, we work for a living.
Yes, we do.
Well, I'm glad that you're working.
I agree with that.
I'm glad that you're working. She's not going to have any of these expenses out of pocket. You had no right to hit him. Don't look up at the sky. You're just very, very lucky that they didn't pursue this matter in juvenile court because they probably wouldn't have put you away, but you would have had a record. How old are you?
12.
12. So you would have had a record at age 12. That's not very smart. How many brothers do you have?
2.
They ever been in jail?
No.
They nice boys?
Yes.
Good. So you have good examples at home. What happened to you?
Nothing.
Ever been suspended for fighting in school?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. How did I know that? How do you think I knew that?
I don't know.
Wasn't that a good question? Look, I'm only giving you your medical bills up until today, plus some additional costs that you incurred. But you may have to bring an additional suit once you have additional medical costs, because I can't anticipate what those medical bills are going to be. Do you understand?
Yes.
So I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. It covers your bills until today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't appreciate her cussing out my son the way she did.
When you see your child bleeding on a street and he's left there and you're just going to protect your child, I would say that sometimes you say things that just is not of you, but out of, frustration and anger.
And now the next case.
All parties on Zavala versus Johnson. Step forward, please.
20-year-old salesperson Brooklyn Zavala is suing her sister-in-law, 23-year-old restaurant manager Tiana Johnson, for babysitting fees and damage to her vehicle.
Mrs. Zavala, the defendant is your sister-in-law.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you provided daycare services for your sister-in-law's children.
Yes.
Then she decided to move. You did provide child care for a few days, for which you were not paid.
Correct.
And then on the day that your sister-in-law was moving, it is your claim that she damaged a car of yours.
True.
What was your arrangement with regard to the child care?
I was to get paid $2.37 per hour.
How did you come
per
to that
child.
figure?
Because that's what the state was allowing her to get. I was just to get the whole check from the Health and Welfare Office. I got a check for May, June, and July. And then in August, I watched them for 5 days.
Which 5 days in August?
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Ms. Johnson, did you get a check from the state for those dates in August?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because they were taking me off that program at that time because I was moving.
She was supposed to get a check. I have record right here that it got sent back to Health and Welfare.
Let me see.
From her caseworker.
My caseworker told me that I was not getting a check for that month.
So it was returned?
Right.
So she did not, you're not claiming that she got the money and just didn't give it to you?
Right, I just didn't get paid.
Well, she's not going to pay you. You have to get your money from the state. That was your agreement.
They only pay a portion on that, so she would also have to pay on top of that.
Why? That wasn't your agreement. That wasn't your agreement, Ms. Zavala.
True.
Your agreement was that whatever money she received from the state, you would get.
Right.
And you never got any additional monies in the months that you did watch the children.
True.
right? So why would you expect additional monies in August?
I estimated it from $237 for each child per hour.
Do you understand what
Yes,
I'm
I
saying
do.
to you?
I do.
I don't know what we're fighting about here for 5 days worth of daycare. If two people who are related to each other, except maybe the fight's about this damaged truck. So you want to tell me about the damaged truck?
Well, the morning of the 8th of August, we got a phone call saying we needed to come to Tiana's. Tiana had something to tell us. We were told she was leaving town because she was scared to death if her husband was going to kill her, which is her witness right now.
Go ahead.
Her brother and her also got in an argument, and because he was telling her that she shouldn't pick up and leave like that with 3 children.
Who should she leave the children with?
We were going to offer, or Sean and Christine, and then Delano and Amanda, which is also her brother and sister-in-law.
Okay. What happened when she left?
Well, we helped her pack, and a couple hours later, she just was leaving, wasn't watching where she was going, and backed into my car. She said sorry, didn't even get out of her van, and then left.
She was upset, I assume, right?
No, she was fine by then because we were just packing up and leaving. She was in a hurry to leave.
Why do you think she was in a hurry?
Because she had to meet with a couple people in Oregon that she was going with.
She said she had to leave because she was deathly afraid of her husband. You don't think that picking up and leaving and packing up very quickly and leaving with your 3 children, you're upset? I mean, I'm not giving...
That happened a month or 2 prior to her leaving. She was still going up and taking the kids up to his house.
Because he's their father.
Until 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's deathly afraid of him. These are the car estimates and pictures.
I also have a blue book value of the car as a trade-in and as retail value.
Well, you definitely hit her car.
She was parked at an angle right in my blind spot on a cul-de-sac, which you're supposed to be parked with the curve. She was parked straight out this way. And when I was backing out, I could not see her, and I hit her like this.
Okay. $900 worth of damage.
And the blue book value of the car as a trade-in is $375, and the retail value is $1,400.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a large amount for damage. It's almost as much as the car is worth.
So what do you think the right thing to do is?
Actually, 4 days before she filed this suit, I had told my brother that I was going to give them some money. And she has not tried to contact me, tried to resolve anything, to even try to work out a payment or anything.
Well, what is everybody so mad about?
I think she's mad because I left and she was out of a job.
No, because I went and got a job 2 weeks later.
All I heard that day that I was leaving was, what about the check? What about the check? No, you know, I'm going to miss you or anything. It was all about the check,
No.
the money.
Wrong, because I was trying to talk her out of going. I was scared for the kids' welfare because the van wasn't going to make it to West
And it did.
Virginia.
Did it make it?
No.
No.
She left it on the side of a highway with all of their belongings in it, pretty much.
No, I didn't. I got the belongings there. My children were safe. My children were back safe.
Did the van die?
The transmission went out.
How did you get to your final destination?
With the rest of the party that I was traveling with. We had 3 different cars going.
Where were you going? Just for my...
To West Virginia.
To what?
I had some friends up there.
Who are the other people?
To stay there. Some cousins, longtime friends of the family.
Well, were they going to live too?
Mm-hmm.
You just decided to all leave at the same time to go to West Virginia to live?
Right, there was a lot of circumstances following that.
Well, just give it to me in 30 seconds or less, would you?
Okay, they were deciding to leave, so I went over there. They offered me to go with them, so I decided, yeah, I would
Where
go.
were you all going? I mean, were you going to a farmhouse someplace? Where were you going to live?
No, I have a really good friend that lives up there, and she offered for me to stay with her.
How long did you stay there?
I stayed there a matter of 2 months.
And then where did you come?
I had to come back to the state of Idaho.
Why?
For a custody hearing.
And then you reconciled with your husband?
Somewhat, yes.
What does somewhat mean?
We're working on the situation.
Do you live under the same roof?
No.
What?
Can I stand up?
Of course, if you want to speak.
Yeah, what I was told by his mother was that...
It's hearsay.
Well, even he admitted it. She came back down for that custody hearing plus a battery hearing.
Against him?
Against him, and then they were still together during that whole issue. They came back and they're still together now, from what I heard.
I guess.
And the whole thing with the car is, when she was up in West Virginia, I talked to her, said, you need to start making some payments. And that was like almost a year went by and nothing happened.
You owe them $900 to fix their car. With regard to the money for your 5 days of babysitting, I suggest that you take that up with the state.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Rochelle Mayfield is suing her daughter's ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Salvador Ruiz for wrecking her Hyundai Sonata while driving drunk.
Miss Mayfield, this is your daughter?
Yes.
And this used to be her boyfriend?
Yes.
Does she live at home?
Yes.
Who else lives at home?
My husband and my 2 granddaughters.
Her children?
Yes.
How old are her children?
One is 7 and one is 5.
Where's their father?
He is their
That's
father.
me, Your Honor.
That would be you. So this is what this case is about, Mr. Ruiz. You borrowed Miss Mayfield's car. You got the car from your former girlfriend.
Yes.
You had an accident with the car. The car was damaged to a point where it cannot be driven. And Miss Mayfield would like you to pay for the car, right?
Yes.
And you said, don't look at me. She gave me permission to drive the car.
That's correct.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You think he's ready?
He's not ready.
You think he'll ever be ready?
We'll see.
How old are you, Mr. Ruiz?
23.
Did you and Miss Mayfield's daughter ever live together?
We lived on our own for a while prior to moving in with Rochelle and her husband. And shortly after the accident, due to disputes and conflicts, we decided that we would split up.
What kind of work do you do?
Install carpet.
How much money do you earn a year?
We get paid by the yard per job that we do.
Mr. Ruiz, you're supposed to know how much you earn a year, sir.
I don't always make the same every year.
How much did you make last year?
More or less about $25,000.
Is that what you reported on your tax returns?
No, I did not.
What did you report on your tax returns?
I did not do my tax returns.
Did you get a special dispensation from somebody not to file tax returns, Mr. Ruiz?
See, I'm a subcontractor, and
Subcontractors don't file tax returns? I have to check that out in the U.S. Code. I wonder what section of the U.S. Code it says that subcontractors don't file tax returns.
Whoever's in charge, whoever's our boss, they get the check, and then they have to split it up between, they then pay their workers, their subcontractors who they have working for them.
And I assume that you've been doing this work for the past several years, so you've never filed tax returns.
No, I haven't.
I knew it was going to get good. I knew. Everybody who works pays taxes. They file tax returns.
Right.
April 15th of every year, everybody scurries to the post office, signs their name, and puts a check in the mail. Sometimes you get a check back. The boss doesn't pay taxes. If you're an independent contractor, you pay your own taxes.
No, our supervisor, that's his duty to take care of, to file for, I think, quarterly taxes, he calls it, which we have to then pay, but then it's taken out from when we get paid from our checks.
Oh.
No, it's not an O. That's not an O. It's a duh. There's a difference between an O and a duh.
You said dope.
Mr. Ruiz, I assume that you've seen me on television before, sir.
From time
Is
to
that
time,
right?
yes, Your Honor.
Do you think I'm an intelligent person?
Yes, I think you are.
You wouldn't think that I would lie to you, right? And if you think that I wouldn't, maybe would lie to you, maybe because I may not like you for some reason, you don't think that he would lie to you, right?
I don't think that at all.
Tell him. What'd you tell him?
You have to pay taxes.
And you have to file tax returns, even if you don't owe any money. That way, when she takes you to court for support, she'll know exactly how much you're earning, right? All right, now, Mr. Ruiz, you want to explain to me, sir, before the IRS comes after you, why, sir, you don't owe Miss Mayfield the value of her car that you wrecked?
On the night of the accident, which was Sweetest Day.
Which is what?
Sweetest Day.
Sweetest?
Sweetest Day. Basically, we had a conversation about it earlier. It's probably been around about 30 years. Seemed to have just appeared maybe 9 years ago. We chalk it up as a Hallmark holiday.
Similar to Valentine's Day.
Right.
Myself and her daughter, Brandy, we had plans to go out that night. She blew me off to go out with her friends. Later that night, after she found out her friends blew her off to be with their boyfriends and whatnot, she told me, okay, well, now we can go out and, do whatever you wanted to do. I was upset with the fact that she had blown me off to begin with. So I explained to her that, I don't want to...
So you didn't explain to her. You said, I'm not going with you. And what did you do?
No, I did explain to her. I told her my reason as to why I didn't want to go with her anymore.
Right. I'm
And
not
I pointed out
second
the fact
choice. I'm not second choice or third choice.
Right. I wanted her
Gotcha.
to know that.
Come on.
So I told her I
Hurry
was
up. The
going out by
IRS is
myself.
almost at your door.
I told her I was going to go out by myself. She said, okay, here's the keys, go ahead. I went out to a bar, I had a couple drinks.
When did you go out? At what time?
It was...
When did he go out? What time?
It had been around 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. What time did you get home?
Say a little bit before 12.
So you were gone for 3 hours.
Right.
And what bar did you go to for this 3 hours?
A bar and a restaurant called The Brat.
There with?
By myself.
So you weren't even talking to anybody?
No, well, the bartender.
Just the bartender.
That's, I mean, he was wondering
And then you
why.
had an accident coming home, and
Yeah.
and your car went in the ditch.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm still waiting for the explanation, sir, of why you're not responsible for this accident after you had had an evening of drinking and were driving somebody else's car.
Well, I was struck by another vehicle. That's what caused me to go onto the side of the road to the ditch. The car that struck me took off. I started to follow the vehicle. So after I realized I couldn't catch up to him, I proceeded to go back to their house. I explained to her.
Will you get to a point why you're not responsible?
For one, I didn't cause the accident. After I went to go try to file the police reports, I found out the car didn't have insurance. And I attempted many times to file the police report to try to get some kind of outcome out of it.
How many times did you go and file the police report?
I never got to file the
How
police
many
report.
times did you try? You said you spent a lot of time trying.
I called more than 5 times. I had called the
Who did you call?
The sheriff's office.
You called at least 5 times.
Yes,
Should
and
have
they
called the
kept giving me the
IRS
runaround.
once. 4 times the police department, 1 time IRS. Where's the car now?
It's at my house.
You have what it'll take to fix it?
Yes, I do.
Let me see.
And pictures of the car.
What year car is it?
It's a 2001.
Why isn't it insured?
Unfortunately, at the time, my husband had received a speeding ticket. At the time, his vehicle insurance was coming due, and it went up about $900. So the insurance lapsed on my car.
You owe any money on this car?
Yes, I do. I still make monthly payments for it.
You're in big trouble. You don't live together anymore, or do you live together?
I live with my mother. I don't live with him anymore.
Where does he live?
In
Stand up.
Illinois.
Stand up. When was the last time you spent an evening with Mr. Ruiz?
Before he moved out.
Does he send you any money for the children?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not an answer.
No, he doesn't give me child support. He buys the girls stuff for school and then in clothes. I don't get like a regular amount a month.
Why not?
I don't ask for it. I just ask if I need something, I ask him for it.
That's not the way it works. He's supposed to pay money, cash money. He wants to buy his daughter's clothing. Terrific. That's what fathers do.
I know that's my mistake.
Has he ever been declared the father of these children in a court?
No, but he is the father.
I didn't ask you whether he is or not.
No.
Has the state ever paid any money towards these children's support?
No. I've worked for 7 years since my first daughter was born.
He's supposed to pay child support, and you're supposed to help your mother.
I do help my mother. I pay rent and I pay for...
If what you're telling me is you don't need Mr. Ruiz's money, then what I'm going to tell you is this. You open up 2 bank accounts in your children's names and say, I'm going to pay my mother the support for the house and for the gas and electric and food and everything else. I'm going to take Mr. Ruiz's money, I'm going to put it in the bank for their college. You would like your children to have a future?
Yes.
Well, get it from their father. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Pardon, Judge, please, you may step out.
24-year-old Kimberly Forsyth is suing Charles Taylor for fraudulently representing himself as a divorce attorney. She is asking for the return of his fee.
Ms. Forsyth, it is your claim that the defendant fraudulently held himself out to be an attorney.
Yes, sir.
You gave him money in order to help you procure a divorce from your husband, and the papers were never properly filed, according to you. You want your money back.
Yep.
Mr. Taylor says that he never told you he was a lawyer. He was trying to help you out and do you a favor, and he did everything that he was supposed to do, and you're entitled to no money back. How did you meet him?
Actually, I had seen one of his signs posted up on a telephone pole.
Can I see it, please?
During the time, I was being evicted, so I originally contacted him to help me with an eviction.
Okay, just a second. Shh. Is this your sign, sir?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay. So you called him, and did he help you?
Yes. Just as he promised. And shortly after that, I had contacted him to assist me in my divorce. And he said he could help me out. He did family law.
Did he have an office that you went to previously?
I never went to the office, no. He always came and met me places.
How much did you pay him the first time?
The first time, I believe it was $375.
For the eviction?
For the eviction, yes.
Now, when you called him and told him that you'd had a family law problem, Did he indicate to you that he did that sort of work?
Yeah.
What did he say?
On the business card that I had, it listed family law as one of his
May I
services.
see, do you have a copy of the business card?
I don't have the original business card that he gave me, but I do have a copy.
I'd like to see it.
And it does state attorney at law.
Where did you get this copy from?
On my contract, that address right there, when I went there looking for him when I was trying to get my money back, the leasing manager there, she gave me the copy of that business card. But that's the exact same business card that I had.
You recognize this card?
No, Your Honor, I don't. No.
Is this a copy of your contract, sir?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And, Your Honor, I do have...
This says it is understood by all parties that Inland Valley Legal Service staff members are not practicing attorneys at law.
Yes. I read that after the fact, and then I saw his card, and I said, well, to myself...
No, you don't have his card. You have something that you claim somebody else gave
Exactly.
you, so you can throw that away. That's nonsense.
And Your Honor,
That's nonsense.
But I wanted to prove that he was also giving this business card to other people.
Listen to me. If you had the business card, that would be one thing.
I know.
But you don't.
I lost it.
And this is something that somebody else gave you.
Yes, ma'am.
and Your Honor, if I may...
You may not. I'm not finished yet. Now, so what you're telling me is you didn't read this before you signed it?
No, I did. And when I saw his business card that said attorney at law, I presumed, I know that is very wrong, but I presumed that he was the supervising attorney for Inland Valley Legal. And when I confronted him about what it says where his signature is at, the staff representative, why it didn't say attorney at law, he said it was a typographical error that his assistant made.
Your Honor, that's not true.
So, according to this, it says that you're signing on for these people, to paraphrase, to do all the paperwork for you, but they are not lawyers. You understand that they are not lawyers. They cannot represent you in court as lawyers. That you will be appearing pro se, which means yourself. Now, he was supposed to get papers together. Did he get the papers together for you?
He did, and he did not.
Just a second. Got the papers together for you.
Semi.
What do you mean semi? The only thing that wasn't done, according to what I read, was the fact that he prepared the papers for you if you're divorced, but your husband is in prison. Is that right? And that it's very difficult to serve someone in prison because you have to go through a whole process. You have to serve the warden of the prison, you have to serve the commissioner of corrections, all of that stuff. That's not something he was doing. That was something he told you to do. That's what he says.
No. That is something he told me to contact the prison, get the information where he needed to send it to, which I did. I told him that it needs to be sent to the litigation coordinator in the prison, and he sends me a proof of service by mail by the third time I went to court and said the first one didn't have the correct address on it, and the second one he had taken in there and wrote in there the rest of the information. And he said he was going to handle all of that for me.
Now I got it. So the problem was that the papers were never properly served on your husband.
Exactly.
And in order for you to be divorced, he has to be properly served.
Of course.
So now let us assume that if she didn't read these papers, that's her problem. That you've clearly made out in the papers that you are a staff representative, not the attorney in charge.
That's right.
If she doesn't know how to read, that's not my problem, that's not your problem.
Exactly.
Okay. My problem is you undertook, and I believe her, to have these papers properly served on the defendant. You undertook to do that, at least on 2 separate occasions. What happened?
Well, by me not actually being an attorney during the divorce...
And I want you to understand something, sir. I'm smarter than she is. So if you're going to give me a lot of who shot John,
Oh, no, I'm
going
going to make it very
to
brief.
annihilate you.
I'm going to make it very
I'm going to
brief.
annihilate you.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? So don't try to smooth talk me like you can smooth talk them. It doesn't work. Okay. Right? I don't need anything from you, and I don't like you. Do you understand? Because I think that you take advantage of people.
Okay.
But let us see if you took advantage of this lady. Okay. Let's go. You tried to serve him once, and you had the wrong address, correct?
No, Your Honor.
Go.
When we went down to the court to file the documents for the divorce, I gave Miss Forsythe all of the copies of the documents in order for her to have her husband served because she informed me that he was incarcerated. Yes. I informed her that it would be impossible for me to serve him by him being incarcerated because the only person that would be able to go to the prison would be an actual attorney to see this man.
That's not true.
Well, that was my understanding.
Well, that's why you shouldn't be giving out legal advice, sir. That was your last mistake. That was your last mistake. That was legal advice that you just gave her without looking it up in the books. Because every jurisdiction has a provision for how prisoners are to be served. And you don't have to be his wife in order to serve him.
Exactly.
And you don't have to be his lawyer in order to serve him. That's what you have process service for, or you have proper service that can be done by mail. You may serve in person the commissioner of prisons. You may serve the warden of the prison. Do you understand, sir? So you
Yes,
gave
I
her legal advice. And by giving her legal advice, you practiced law without a license. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Wasn't that simple?
Yes.
Now you're going to give her back her money. How much money did she pay you?
I believe she paid me a total of $325.
How much money did you pay her?
$425. You have the receipts.
$425.
Yes, ma'am.
$425. You have to give that back to her, sir, because by making that simple statement to her, here are the papers, you have to have him served because somebody has to go up there and serve him personally because I can't go up there. You gave her advice, and it was wrong advice. Just prepare the papers. That's what you're entitled to do.
Yes, sir.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $425.
Thank you.
Crystal Padilla claims the father of her child, James Kern, falsely accused her of abuse to Child Protective Services. She is suing for her attorney fees.
Ms. Padilla, this is your ex-husband. You've been divorced since when?
Our divorce was finalized in November of 2004.
And you have one child together?
Yes.
How old is that child?
He's now 5.
I'd like you to keep your voice up, Ms. Padilla, because I have difficulty hearing you. Not because there's anything terribly wrong with my hearing, but I know that you may be a little nervous. You're speaking softly. You have to speak up like me.
No problem.
Great. Make believe you're yelling at him.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Your lawsuit alleges that Mr. Kern filed false allegations against you with Child Protective Services, forcing you to hire an attorney. You want your attorney's fees back and the expenses that you incurred as a result of defending that litigation. Mr. Kern says he had legitimate concerns over his child, and that's why he made the report. Okay? Do you have other children?
1.
How old?
Same age. A little older by a few months.
Who does that child live with?
Her. I didn't know of his existence till long after he was born. It's quite a story.
Well, it's quite a story, but it has an age-old beginning.
They're 6 weeks apart.
Another 10.
And I assume you've done the appropriate DNA testing and everything else? Paternity testing?
Correct.
So that while you were married, you fathered another child. Is that right?
No, it was before I was married. Before her and I got married, her and I were together. She told me she had an abortion, so we never talked again. Me and her got back together. And then after, actually the day my son Cameron was born, I get another phone call from her saying, oh, guess what?
Do you see that child?
No.
So that there are no other siblings in your house?
No.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
How old are they?
They're 7 and 5.
The 7-year-old is not Mr. Kern's child?
No.
When did you and Mr. Kern separate?
In November of 2002.
So the baby was an infant. Is there any issue as far as custody at that time?
At that time, Mr. Kern left, and Cameron did stay with me. And when we did our divorce papers, we decided to do 50-50 custody. And up until this recent event, we did share 50-50 custody.
When you say 50-50 custody, how did that break down in the week?
We would alternate weeks. 1 week I would have 3 days, he would have 4. The next week I would have 4 days, he would have 3.
So that really required that you live in close proximity to each other.
At the time, I was in Riverside, California, and he was up in Apple Valley, so about an hour away.
So, Mr. Kern, you had your son half the time.
Correct.
But you, I assume, always knew that there would come a time when he went to school and you couldn't have that kind of an arrangement because you can't live an hour away from each other and still do that.
Correct. I offered to put him in private school, and she didn't want that. She lives in
Just
Colton.
a second. You offered to put him in private school near you.
Correct.
Well, she didn't want him to be at private school
She
near
wanted
you. Shh, Mr. Kern, because that would mean that she would lose her 50% of the custody time.
Negative.
Sure it would, because if he's in private school near you, of necessity, he has to spend 5 days a week at your house. In any event, she said, no, I want to put him in school where I am, right?
Correct.
She wanted the child to go to school in her location. You wanted the child to go to school in your location. And then the trouble began. So, Mr. Kern, why don't you tell me the timeline from there? She brought papers to you to ask you to sign off so that you could register the child in school.
Yeah, and that if I didn't agree, she wouldn't let me have my son. She was going to leave in the parking lot right then and there. Actually, it started long before that. My son had lots of marks and bruises on him that were questionable. And every time I'd ask her, you know, how did this happen? It was always the same story. Oh, he got it playing with his brother, or he got it fighting with his brother. One February day, she called me, said, hey, you know, he had a bit of an accident. I don't know if I'm going to take him to the hospital or not. I'm just letting you know. I said, okay, do I need to come down there? You know, I'll take him myself. She said, no. He showed up that weekend, and I have pictures right here. He has a complete black eye. He has a gash in his eye.
I'd like to see it.
And these are some other pictures of bruises and marks on him from when he's come from her house. Hand marks, bruise on his shoulder, other marks on his face from different times. And I took those pictures to my attorney, asked them what they think I should do, and that's when I took that to the court.
I wouldn't say a word if I were you. You are no relation to this case.
That's my wife.
I understand exactly who it is, sir. I understand exactly who it is, and if you want the situation with your son to ultimately resolve itself, I would suggest that she let you do the talking. That's the problem. Well, see, black and blue marks on his arms.
I also have a video that I think you need to see that's important in this case.
Oh, this is his leg.
This is just one of 100 times of how he acts when he goes back to his mother. And I think it's very important that you see this video right here.
Sure.
And after my attorney told me, after I took that to court for ex parte.
Don't tell me what your attorney told you, sir. What your attorney told you was hearsay.
All right, here we go, guys.
Cameron, come on, baby. Hey, the sooner you go with your mommy, the sooner I get to come get you and we can do Christmas. Come on, honey. Cameron. Come on, it's time to go with your mommy, honey. Don't do that. Come on. Mommy misses you and she wants to see you. Okay, baby? Come on.
I've seen enough. Turn it off, please.
That's not even the good part. The part where he throws himself on the ground, and I asked, let me talk to him to calm him down. She won't let me. He's banging on the window in her car, screaming for me, and takes off.
I don't understand why you're photographing this.
Well, actually, that was upon her request in the court. She wanted to videotape pickups or drop-offs, so if somebody said something they shouldn't, they could take it to court.
That was at her request? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I have it on the minutes.
I'd like to see it. It's a major concern to me to videotape a child like that. Who's clearly as young as he is, playing for the camera. Well, this just says the parties stipulate that the visitation exchanges may be videotaped and audiotaped.
Yeah, she did that because she accused me of bad-mouthing her when I pick up or drop off my son. So the judge said that we can videotape or audiotape the pickup or drop-offs.
Just a second. Then she didn't ask for it. She accused you,
and we
Mr.
went to
Kern.
court. Her
Mr.
attorney
Kern,
said,
listen to me. I'm really big on two parents getting involved and being integral parts of their children's lives, fathers and mothers. I think it's really important. And I don't know which one of you is a better custodial parent. I really don't know. Sounds to me as if you adore him.
He's my life.
And it sounds to me, based upon the answer that you submitted to me, that you legitimately feel that you are a more fit custodial parent. Maybe. But I'm telling you what I'm seeing. The injuries that you've shown me here are nothing compared to what my kids had when they were growing up.
But if your kid came
broken
on his face or something,
broken
would you not be
arms,
concerned?
jumping off the beds with their siblings, banging heads, getting hit in the face with a lacrosse stick, all kinds of things happen to children, especially children who have a close in age sibling.
But then where's the supervision?
Excuse me?
If something like that happens to his face because he was fighting with his brother, where was the supervision?
Can't supervise children all the time, Mr. Kern. What planet are you living on, sir?
This one. These things don't happen at my house. I have 2 full-grown German Shepherds. He has his own bike. He has everything in the world a kid could ever want.
Mr.
And these things don't happen in my home.
Mr. Kern, what you don't have in your house is another child. The only issue in this case, as far as I'm concerned, is do these pictures of marks on the child give him sufficient reason for him to have placed a call to Child Protective Services to investigate?
I never called Child Protective Services. I just filed an ex parte hearing saying, for my concerns about those marks. I never called CPS not once.
Just a second. So you filed a proceeding, an ex parte proceeding, for what?
To get custody of my son so we could find out what was going on. I have letters here from a psychotherapist.
Just a second. So you had 50-50 custody, and based upon these photographs, you went to court through your attorney and filed an ex parte order seeking physical custody full-time of your child based upon these photographs.
And letters from a psychotherapist that interviewed my son to find out where the marks were coming from, which I have these right here as well.
So while the child was with you, in addition to taking these photographs, you took him to a psychologist.
Yeah, upon my attorney's advice.
Listen, Mr. Kern, I was there for 25 years. I know exactly what's going on, sir. I know precisely what's going on. Now, when did you file your ex parte proceeding, sir?
End of April '06.
And when did Miss Padilla tell you that she wasn't going to allow you to enroll the child in private school in your area?
She served me on my first wedding anniversary, which is March 12th, 06, and that's where the court
Just a
papers
second.
began.
So in March of 06, Ms. Padilla served you with papers seeking what?
That she wanted him to go to school in her area, which is Colton.
So she served you with papers in March of 06. And in April of 06, you saw an attorney, brought photographs, and at that point filed your own ex parte order of custody based upon allegations of abuse. Is that right?
According, yes.
I'm getting the timeline here.
Upon my attorney's advice.
That wasn't his first response to my petition. His original response noted nothing of physical abuse.
Okay. Then he took these pictures that he had been saving up and storing up since December of 2005.
That's not true. On my first response, noted a lot of things. The fact that she lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with her sister and her 2 children, with her other son and my son. My son coming to my house telling me he sleeps on the couch with his brother while she sleeps in her room with her boyfriend.
Mr. Kern, how much support do you pay for that child support?
Which one?
That lady's child.
$250.
$250 or what?
A month.
Pay it every month?
Nope.
So you don't pay child support?
Not every month. Sometimes I get behind on bills and stuff. I can't make the payment.
He hasn't paid in over 3 years.
Yes, I have.
I'm getting there. And how much child support do you pay now for this child?
I believe it was $400 a month if she took him to school. I let my employer have the information, and I don't think they've started that yet.
So how much do you pay her?
$400 a month or something like that. I don't quite
$400.
recall.
Well, the employer hasn't started deducting it from your salary yet. So how much do you give her every month?
Nothing.
Why?
Because if I give it to her, she'll never report it.
But in between the time that the child support order takes place, sir, and they start with the income deduction order, months could go by before that happens. So how do you expect your child to be supported? Okay, so now you have 2 children, and if I am correct, from what you tell me, Mr. Kern, who you want me to believe you're father of the year, you have 2 children for whom you are currently paying 0 child support. And this from a man who said, I want to put my son in private school near me.
I had 50% custody at the time.
No,
Actually,
no,
I
no,
had
listen to
more.
me. Listen to me. This is from a man who said, I want to pay for private school. And now you tell me that you have 2 children, 5 years old, for whom you are currently paying nothing in child support.
That's not every month. Just because she hasn't received hers yet, that's the child support agency, not my fault. I'm not going to give it to her and have her deny it.
You got where we're going? He thinks he's a step ahead of me. I was there for 25 years, Mr. Kern. I know exactly what's going on. Exactly. Well, let's finish the scenario. You went to court. You had a lawyer. Did you have a lawyer?
On the Monday, I went to...
Just answer my question. Did you have a lawyer?
On our next court date, we did.
And the child's custody was immediately transferred to the father.
For
Is
the
that
month
right?
pending.
Just answer my question.
Yes.
For how long did Mr. Kern have custody?
Until May 17th of 2006.
And then what happened?
That was our original court date, and we went to mediation.
When you went back to mediation, was a forensic expert assigned to the case?
No.
We were assigned to do a 7:30 evaluation.
And what was the name of the therapist who was doing the evaluation?
Dr. Michael.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. So as a result, I assume, at least in part of the forensic evaluation, the court determined that the custody arrangement that you originally agreed to was not workable.
Correct.
Is that right? And ultimately, primary physical custody was ordered to you.
Yes, it was.
And the court granted you visitation 3 weekends a month. Is that right?
Big drop from having them half the time, huh?
Absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. You're supposed to try to work things out. You're supposed to be smart enough to know that whatever custody arrangement you make when a child is 2 is not going to be able to hold true when the child is 6 or 8 or 10 or 12. And you're supposed to be able to work with each other. And just because you got angry that she wasn't going to allow you to have your way...
How's that right? These pictures were started being taken in December, beginning of December, when she filed in March. Something, magically appeared some pictures in December.
Kern,
These are concerns I've had for a while.
Either that, sir, or you don't understand what it's like to be a 5-year-old with a 7-year-old sibling, with a black and blue mark on the knee, with a scratch above the eye, with a black and blue mark on the hand, with scrapes across the face. Happens. It happens. And nothing that I read in this report suggested, absolutely nothing, that your child complained that any of those marks were as a result of his mother's actions.
I have some other letters here that you should read then.
Absolutely.
There is also a section about her in the 7:30 evaluation, the psychotherapist that wrote the letters that he's showing you now. And nowhere in that report does he say, my mommy hits me, my mommy beats me.
No, but it does talk about domestic violence, about how her boyfriend hits her and she hit him back.
Listen,
and that's from what he's seen.
The problem, Mr. Kern, is that you really are going to have to back off in interfering with what goes on in her house.
If your child sees domestic violence, should I not be concerned?
What I'm telling you is you have to back off as to what goes on in her house. You're not supposed to ask your son anything about what goes on in her house.
The therapist asked him that.
I didn't say the therapist. I said you're not supposed to ask him anything about what goes on in his house. And she's not supposed to ask him anything about what goes on in your house. You're both supposed to assume that each of you love him and want to take care of him and want to protect him and do the right thing. That's what you're supposed to assume. And you, Mr. Kern, are supposed to pay child support for that child, for this child, who you now don't have in your custody. I mean, I read the report, and the report indicated that when this forensic evaluation was done, your son says you don't work, and you're home all the time.
No, I'm a contractor, so I choose my own hours.
That's what he says. He says, my father doesn't
Well, I make
work.
sure I'm home when he's there.
I'm telling you what your son says, sir.
And I know what he says, and I'll make
His son
explain it
says,
to you.
my father doesn't work. Well, that's not a good thing for a child to even think that his father doesn't work. That's what he said. Told the
Well, that's
therapist,
because he's
my
5
father
years
doesn't.
old. He thinks a magic wand pays the bills. Just because I go out of my way to make sure I'm home when he's there so we can spend time together. I work when he's not with me.
If you have him with you 4 days a week, sir, you should be working
It's
part
not
of that
4
time.
days a week.
That's what you told me.
I'm not home
You told
4
me
days a
that
week.
you
It
had
could be 3 days a week,
50-50
1 week.
custody.
It could be 3 1 week. It could be 2 if my
Mr.
wife's
Kern,
off.
you've got an
she
answer
watches
for
him.
everything, sir. What you're asking me for is counsel fees. That's what you're asking me for.
Right.
Counsel fees. And I'm not granting those because he went to an attorney. I just want you to think about this. He went to an attorney and sought the advice of counsel who represented him when you filed an application to terminate the 50-50 custody arrangement. So you filed the petition first. He had to hire a lawyer. And he just said, I'd rather be on the offensive rather than on the defensive because that's his temperament.
Well, he didn't consult an attorney first. He stated that my father told him to take me to court.
No, I didn't.
He went, listen, did he have an attorney representing him?
At the ex parte hearing, he did, yes.
Did he have the attorney representing him in the case that you filed?
No.
I'm talking about the original date in May, because that you said was the original court date you had on your application. Did you have an attorney or not?
Yes.
I believe he had an attorney. His attorney started the process, so the attorney of necessity had to be with him. You don't get your counsel fees. It's unfortunate that both of you spent your money on legal fees, but you don't get your counsel fees, just like he doesn't get his. But he's better start to pay child support.
They can't find any child support because I've received a 2-cent check since the child support was ordered.
That is not true.
Well,
here you go.
If he doesn't pay the child support order, what I'm going to suggest you do is go to the court and ask to have his driver's license suspended. You too. The first thing that states have to do under federal guidelines is license. And as a contractor, he needs that. Otherwise, his wife is going to have to drive herself to work and him to work. Don't let him get away without paying child support. That's his obligation as a parent, to you and to you and to your children. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Your case is dismissed. He's not required to pay your counsel fees. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Angela Ricker claims her husband's ex-wife, Sally Ricker, falsely accused her of vandalizing her car. Sally is countersuing for car damage and lost wages.
Mrs. Ricker, this lady is your husband's, I assume this is your husband?
Yes.
Your husband's former wife?
Yes.
And it is your claim that she has been harassing you, that
Yes.
she's filed false charges against you,
Absolutely.
seeking a temporary restraining order, and you are seeking damages.
Absolutely.
The former Mrs. Ricker says that everything that she said in her application for a restraining order is true. She is counterclaiming for harassment and for vandalism that she alleges you did to her car. So, how long were you married to Mr. Ricker?
12 years.
You have children?
We have 3 children.
How old are they?
14, 12, and 7.
When were you divorced?
Our paperwork went through in 2005, but I left in 2002.
And when did you marry?
2 years ago, March 29th.
Do you have children?
No, we do not.
On what date was this restraining order filed?
I believe it was the 20th
of
March. The alleged incident was on the 17th, which would have been St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, I'm going to start with you. Tell me your first name.
Sally.
so that we can differentiate between them. Mrs. Rickers, you're Sally. Tell me what happened on March 17th.
On March 17th, I was at an establishment near where I work. My car was parked
What
in the parking lot.
establishment were you near where you worked?
I was at a nail salon called Tammy's Salon.
Okay.
And I'm looking out the window. I happen to look out, and I see both Tyler and Angela drive up, and I'm
What
shocked.
time?
It was about 2:30. I saw Tyler get out of the car, and then I saw Angela get out of the passenger side door. And together, they hurriedly sort of walked into my place of employment.
What is the name of your place of employment?
I work at Trader Joe's. I happen to be off this day.
So you were off on March 17th?
I was.
How far is your place of employment from where you live?
4 miles across town.
Did you have an appointment for your nails?
No.
What was the name of the person who did your nails?
You know, I'm sorry, I don't know. She's an Asian woman, and I don't know her name.
Does she usually do your nails?
No, I walk in.
So you don't go to any particular person?
Not at that place, no.
Is there any reason why you went to that place on that day, despite the fact that you weren't working that day?
I had some time to myself. As I'm still parenting my 3 children, I don't get a lot of time away.
Yeah, but this place is cross town. Why would you go cross town unless you have a particular nail lady who does your nails and
Well,
had an
it's
appointment rather
inexpensive.
than walking into some place that's closer and not cross town?
Well, it's inexpensive. I had a few hours to go do my nails and get some groceries.
Where were you getting your groceries?
At Trader Joe's.
Did you actually go into Trader Joe's?
No, I decided not to go in.
Go ahead, Sally.
So?
Go ahead. I'm listening. So they went into Trader Joe's, and you were having your nails done by a person whose name you don't know, and you just happened to be looking out the window. Let me hear the rest.
Yes, so they continued to walk in, and they asked for me while they were in the store. And
How do you know
this
that?
Because I had a conversation with my son. I called my son after I saw them.
Just a second. You called your son where?
I called my son from my cell phone.
And where was he?
He was at his grandmother's house. And I asked them if he had heard from his dad that day, because we haven't heard or seen from Tyler in 9 months. And so I called my son to see if he had heard from his dad this day, to find out why he would be in town. And he said, yes, he was there with Angela, and they were looking for you at the store.
What's your son's name?
My son's name is Aaron.
How old is he?
He's 14.
Stand up, sir. Did you call your son that day, Mr. Richter?
I did.
Where did you reach him?
I
On his
reached
cell
him
phone?
Yes, on his cell phone. He was at my parents' house.
At your parents' house?
Yes.
And did you ask him where his mother was?
I asked if his mother was at work.
Why?
Because I had part of his birthday present to give to him.
Which part?
A credit card that had come in the mail after his birthday.
Did you see him that day?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because he was at my parents' house.
Are you not allowed to be there?
It's not a comfortable place for me to be, but I'm allowed to be there.
Well, if you wanted to give him a credit card, why did you ask where his mother was?
I was going to give it to her if she was there.
So did you end up giving him his birthday present?
I did not.
Why not?
I was told she was not there.
Did you go into Trader Vic's?
Trader Joe's?
Trader
yes.
Joe's?
Yes, I did go into Trader
Vic's,
Joe's.
Trader Joe's, Trader. What?
Had a cup of coffee, and my wife and I did a little bit of shopping.
On the 17th of March, how long had it been since you'd seen your son?
I had seen him on his birthday, which was 1 month prior to that.
Where did you see him?
I saw him in Pleasanton at his mother's house.
Spent some time with him?
Yeah.
Why did you say he hadn't seen the children for 9 months?
Prior to that, Tyler had left Angela.
Listen to me. You told me that he hadn't seen the children for 9 months. He
Right.
said he saw his son in February, a month before, well, which is true.
He did not come to our house.
I didn't care whether he came to your house or not. I don't care whether he saw the children at McDonald's. Did he see his son in February?
He did not see his son on his birthday.
I asked you a question. Did he see his son in February?
He did not see his son on his birthday.
Did he see his son in February of 2007?
He did not see his son on February 15th.
I didn't ask you about February 15th. I said, did he see his son in February?
No, he did not see his son in February.
I don't believe you.
He saw his son on March 28th when he left his wife Angela and came into town for a few days.
Are you on medication?
No, I am not.
There is no question in my mind that he saw his son in February, a month before the March incident. So when I asked you the question 4 times, you gave me an evasive answer. 4 times. Now I'm asking you one more time. It's very easy for me to find out. All I have to do is call Aaron. Did he see Aaron in February anywhere at any time during the month of February of 2007?
I'm telling you that he did not see his son in February. I would have known that because we were together. If he saw his son, it could have been at school.
Where did you see him in February?
I saw him the weekend before his birthday. I had a hotel room in Pleasanton at extended stay hotels. His mother dropped them off there, all three of my children. Yes, they stayed with me for the entire weekend, including Monday, which was a holiday. I saw them later at her house in February.
Of 2007.
And I was there on his birthday.
In February 2007.
Yes.
Let's go, Sally.
That is not true. That is not true.
Just a second. You want me to call Aaron? Very simple to find out. He has a cell phone?
Yes, he does.
You want to change your mind before I call him on his cell phone? Do you want to change your mind before I call him on his cell phone? I hate to get him involved in this, but I'm prepared to do it because it's very important to me.
It's important to me to be able to speak as well. So
I asked you a question. Did he see his children in February of 2007? And I'm going to be able to find that out either through you or through Aaron, who I will reach on his cell phone.
On February 27th, yes. In February, Tyler saw Aaron.
Fine. Okay, now you're going to tell me that you saw Angela vandalize your car.
Yes, I did.
Is that you're going to continue? Let's go.
So on the way back out to the car, I was watching Angela as she had circled my car, and she started by standing and waiting for me, and then I saw her come around all 4 circles of my car with sort of a dragging movement with her arms swiping. And when I saw her out there, I had no idea what she could have been doing to my car. I knew that she may have been...
Don't tell me what you thought. I don't care what you thought.
Okay.
You have pictures of your car and you have a police report.
I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
These are the 2 that printed out. And then this is the police report. It spans all 4 doors of my car. Unfortunately, there are only 2 pictures that showed up.
Did you scratch our car?
No, I did not.
Tell me what happened when you left Trader Joe's.
We got into the car and we went home. We were going to my grandmother's. When I go from San Leandro to Stockton, where my family is, we usually stop at that Trader Joe's. It's right off the highway. It's very convenient for me. After all of this happened, it ruined my trip and I went home. I was devastated. I was very angry.
What do you mean after all of this happened?
Well, she told Erin on the phone that I had done this to her car, you know, involved a 14-year-old in this. It just really, it hit. And then when I got accused of this and a police report was put out, brought into court.
Can I see the underlying paperwork, please?
Yes,
that
ma'am.
went along with her application for a restraining order?
Yes, ma'am. Since we've established that, most of that is fallacious. It's false. There was nothing about bipolarity nor schizophrenia.
Okay. And in your application for an order of protection, which is, I assume, written in your own hand, you say, Angela came to my place of work unannounced, and she later called my son and verbally abused him. Did you speak to Aaron later?
I did speak to Aaron.
Tell me what happened when you spoke to him.
I spoke to him and I asked him why he was saying those things to
Saying
his
what
father.
things?
That I had vandalized the car, that I'd gone into her work looking for her, harassing, stalking, using those words. Aaron and I have never had any problems. I haven't seen the children in almost a year because of this behavior. I've refused to allow them in my home when I'm there.
Why?
Because of her. She debriefs them every time they go home. It's a drama from Friday to Sunday. Phone calls, it's just never a drop-off pickup. It's always something, and I couldn't handle it. Our marriage has been in jeopardy for almost 2 years because of this.
In your application for a restraining order,
yes,
you say Angela is explosive,
yes,
and goes on and off her medication for schizophrenia and bipolar illness.
That's according to my ex-husband.
Did you ever tell her that?
Absolutely not.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
When did he tell you that she was bipolar and schizophrenic?
When he left her in February, it was February 27th, he left because they were having a domestic dispute.
Okay, so he left
And
in February.
In February, yes.
Go ahead.
I know I won't live that one down. I'm sorry.
You won't?
I know. I'm sorry. So, anyway, his brother brought him into town. He didn't have any money. He didn't have a job. Nothing. Brought him into town. He said he wanted to see the kids. And from that point, he had not seen the kids for 9 months, okay?
So why would you tell me that he didn't see the children in February when he did?
Well, no, I Because, I'm sorry, I'm really nervous today. I'm very, very sorry.
That's nervous is not an answer, madam.
was
You told me
February-
a very cogent story about everything that you allegedly saw with regard to this lady, how she stalked your car, how she bent down, how she had sweeping motions. But when I asked you a question, a half a dozen times, you refused to give me an honest answer about when your husband last saw his children.
He wasn't at my house on February 15th, which was
I
Aaron's
didn't ask you anything about February 15th. I didn't even know when Aaron's birthday was.
Okay.
I asked you February. You said 9 months. He said February. Wasn't until I was planning to call Aaron and find out whether he had seen his father in February that you finally said he saw him in February. Do you understand that that gives me cause to pause?
Yes.
Well, it does. Do you take medication?
No, ma'am.
You ever been diagnosed as schizophrenic?
No, ma'am.
Bipolar?
No, ma'am. Your Honor, it was not February 27th that we separated. It was the beginning of the month. He was in Point Reyes. He decided to stay there with a friend at a bed and breakfast to do some work on the home. He was at her house. He called me from her house.
I understand
Yeah.
that.
Angela Ricker says her husband's ex-wife, Sally Ricker, falsely accused her of vandalism.
Now, you let him stay with your children? The
They
answer
have-
is either yes or no.
Yes.
Have your children spent time with the plaintiff in her home?
Yes, they have.
And they've come home in one piece?
Basically.
Not for a year.
Shh. Others to be protected. Absolutely. Angela has no discretion when she is angry. My children should never be anywhere near this person.
They have a history of domestic violence.
Was there a history of domestic violence with you?
I left.
That's just a second. That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
So there was a history of domestic violence with you.
With my husband.
So I got it. And you allowed that situation to go on more than once?
Yes.
You allowed your children to remain in a situation where there was domestic violence?
I left that
You let it go
situation.
on for a long time? Do you understand, Mrs. Richter? Do you have a full-time job?
I do.
How long have you been working for the same place?
This job I have currently is 4 months.
Do you have a significant other or a husband?
No, I do not.
Are you working? Take your hands out of your
Not
pockets.
right now, no.
Why not? Is not an answer.
I had a job up until April 1st working on airplanes. I was let go from that job.
Up until April 1st, were you paying child support?
I was.
How much?
$411 a month was taken from my checks.
How long had you been paying the $411?
Only for a month at that point, and then there was a large gap between that point and the last time I held a job.
Well, Mr. Richter, that's unacceptable, sir.
I understand that.
Very unacceptable. No, not
I'm injured,
unacceptable.
Your Honor. I'm injured.
Very unacceptable, sir.
I do understand that. I was injured at my last job,
Yeah?
and the injury prevented me from working.
What was the last job?
The last job was working for Vortex Stores,
Yeah?
and
What year?
from June to August of 2006.
Well, that's a couple of months, sir.
I understand that. I was injured. I had a severe back injury.
So that you were out of work for 2 months.
I was out of work until I got a job in March of 2007.
Who supports you?
Workman's Comp was supposed to be, but the company that hired me is fighting all of that, and so Workman's Comp did not pay my payments. That's currently
Sir, you've been
in
separated.
litigation.
You've been separated from your former wife since 2002.
Since 2002,
Since 2002, until you were injured. Just listen to me carefully. Until you were injured in June of 2006, were you regularly paying child support?
I was. I regularly paid child support when I had a job.
That's not my question. Don't play with me.
Oh, I'm
you
not
two
playing
people
with you, Your
deserve
Honor.
each other. You two people deserve each other. Not when you were working. How old are you?
I'm 40.
You have 3 children.
I understand
There is
that.
no question that you have to be employed regularly. And I don't care whether you work at McDonald's or if you don't have another job, if you work at a car wash, drying cars, if you can't do something else. You have 3 children. No wonder she's furious with you. You work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a registered nurse.
So you earn a reasonable living?
Yes, I do.
So you support the family?
Yes, I do.
Right. No wonder she's furious with you. Collect cans if you have to, but you send money. And if she's angry with you, unfortunately, she took it out on the wrong person. Because I don't believe you, madam, that you saw her vandalize your car. I don't believe you. The case was dismissed, was it not?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, did anybody else ask you the questions that I asked you about the name of this person who did your nails, why you traveled cross town to get your nails done? Was the person who tried this case?
No. He did not.
He did not.
No.
Because he doesn't understand that you don't travel across town to just walk into a nail salon. You can walk into a nail salon anywhere. You don't have to travel 4 miles across town to do that. A lot of baloney. I don't believe you. I believe that you're angry with him. And I believe that you're angry with her because she's an enabler, because she's working. He's not, at least on the books anywhere, and he's not paying support. I got that you're angry. But you can't do this. This is nonsense. And I don't believe you.
Well, I saw it happen.
No, it didn't. I think that you probably even scratched your own car. But I don't believe that she scratched your car. I don't believe that this professional woman scratched your car.
I wouldn't have done that to
No
my car.
way. No way. And when you lie to me once, I don't believe you again. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Start working, sir. That's what you're supposed to do. The counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Jennifer Loppick and her ex-husband, Christopher, claimed Jennifer's ex-boyfriend, James Nielsen, destroyed their home in a drunken rage.
Mr. and Mrs. Lappick, are you together or are you separated?
We're divorced.
When were you divorced?
In May of 2005.
So you are living separately or not living separately?
Separately.
I let her stay in my house and she rents from me.
You don't live there?
No.
When was this incident that brings you to court?
July 23rd.
So it was after your divorce?
Right.
According to your complaint, Mr. Nielsen was at that time a boyfriend of yours.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of you had been out with some other friends. Subsequently, you invited a group of people back to your house, according to what I read, and you decided not to go back home. You decided to go and check in with your ex-husband. And it is your complaint that Mr. Nielsen, probably because he got angry, trashed the house you were living in. And since it's your ex-husband's house, he is a co-plaintiff. Is that about right?
Yes.
Who went out that evening?
It was me, Jim Nielsen, Jay, one of my friends, and Justin, another one of my friends. We ended up going to the bar, and then we all went to a restaurant to eat. And Chris was at the restaurant. And I called his phone, he called my phone, we were arguing.
What were you arguing about?
We just always argue about
Well, you were
Everything.
divorced already, so why
Right.
were you arguing? Do you have
Well-
children together?
no.
No.
Just because she still lives in my house and we still have contact with each other.
Why do you let her live in your house?
Because her and her son, I didn't want them to have to go out and find a place because it's more expensive.
Okay, how old a child do you have?
2.5.
Not your child.
No.
How long were you married?
Only like 5 months.
7 or 8 months.
Well, I'm not exactly sure because we got legally separated first.
We'll do 4 months.
All right, so you were arguing with Chris in July. On the 23rd of July, you were having dinner with a group of people. What happened next?
Justin, he was my roommate. I ended up having him and his friend drop me off at Chris's house.
Why are you laughing? What's funny?
Because I'm stupid.
Oh.
But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got dropped off at his house, and Justin said that he was going back to his friend's house to watch some movies.
I let one of her friends also move in there to help her with the rent.
So Justin was your roommate
Right.
in your house.
Exactly.
Okay, so you went to Chris's house, and your roommate Justin dropped you off at Chris's house.
Right.
How long did you stay at Chris's house?
I stayed the night.
Where was your child at that point?
At his father's.
Does he live with you or his father?
He lives with me.
Okay, so you stayed the night with your ex-husband.
Mhm.
And what happened when you got home?
My front porch railing was ripped off. The door frame was cracked all the way down the side, and the screws were out. The door was like, I don't know, it wouldn't shut. It was wide open. There was a huge hole in the wall. I have pictures.
I'd like to see the pictures.
There were eggs, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, cereal, bread, milk, cough syrup, all over my walls, all over my rugs.
What makes you think that Jim here was responsible for this damage?
Well, he always wears a wife beater under any of his shirts.
What does he wear?
Oh, wife beater. It's like a tank top.
What is that called?
It's a wife beater, isn't it?
shirt.
Is that what the T-shirt says on it, or is that what it's called?
That's what it's called.
I never
believe.
heard that. Did you
Is
ever hear
what it's
that?
called?
Yep.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
A tank top shirt? Man wears a tank top shirt. It's called a wife beater?
It's just plain white. It's like a three-finger.
White or wife?
Wife.
Wife?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
So I found that in my house. It was covered in everything that was all over my floors and walls, and it was ripped off. And Jim, when he goes out and drinks and when he gets mad, he rips off his shirt and just throws it wherever. So I knew that was him. So I called him, and I told him, I said, Jim, I said, why'd you destroy my house? He's like, oh, I didn't.
I'm like, you tell me you didn't destroy my house. I said, I found this. My entire house is trashed. He's like, I don't know. I didn't do it. I said, well, I'm calling the cops. So I called the police, and then after I was waiting for the police to show up, Chris called Jim back, and...
What happened when you called him back?
I called him up. I was angry. I knew it was obviously something to do with the fact that she left with me. So, and I knew it was probably him and his friends.
How long had you dated him before that evening?
3 weeks.
So,
Go ahead.
I called him up, and, you know, I was yelling. I'm like, what's going on, you know? Come into my house, destroy my house. He goes, first he said I didn't, then he goes, well, I was mad. He said something like, I was drunk, I was mad, something along those lines. But he admitted to it. We called the police. He admitted that the police officer came over.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to read it. Thank you. All right, Jim, I'm with you.
I didn't do nothing. I woke up with stuff all over me.
You went back to her house?
Yeah, Justin had the key, and we were drinking there for a little bit, and I passed out. I wake up, I got all this stuff all over, eggs and stuff all over me. I didn't know what happened, holes in the wall and everything. And she's saying I admitted to it? I never admitted to nothing, to the cops at all.
You're John.
Yep.
Jim, John, and Justin. You were there that evening?
No, the following day I was there. They came to my apartment.
Who did?
I came to his apartment in the morning.
Justin's the one that brought it up to me. What I think is Justin had the key.
Listen, I don't care what you think. What you think is irrelevant. When you finish law school, you can get a job as a judge, and hopefully somebody will care about what you think. I just want you to tell me what you heard and what you saw. Go ahead.
I heard the house got trashed, and I took Justin back to the house, and I seen it.
Good, thank you. Now, did you speak to the police?
Yeah, on the phone.
Listen to me. Do you know the police in Auburn, New York?
Yes.
You think they have it in for you?
No.
They don't know you. They don't care about you,
Yeah.
right? The police say that you said he was drunk and did some and all the damages.
I didn't say I paid for all the damages.
Okay, there we go. Oh, God, my life is... What? Okay, what
I
did
said
you...
I would fix the damages.
Oh, okay.
If...
Oh, just a second. So you didn't say you would pay for the damage, you said you would fix the damage.
Yes.
So that's what you told them?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you acknowledge that you did some of the damage.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do all the damages, you know.
I don't care whether you did some or all.
I'm not going to be, you know, the one paying for all the damages, though, you know. There's other people there.
Well, then this is what you have to do, Jim.
I call her and tell her I was going to come fix it, and she's like, oh, no, I can't do it now. I don't want you to fix it. I got somebody else to fix it.
What do you
I
do
bought
for,
all this stuff to go fix it.
What do you do for a living?
Huh? I got 2 jobs. I work at MKM, and I'm an electrician.
What's MKM?
Trucking business.
But you're not a carpenter.
No. I can still do it, though.
Are you a brain surgeon?
No.
You wouldn't try that, would you?
No.
I mean, if somebody said, you know, here's Bird, he needs a little brain surgery, you wouldn't say, I'm going to try. Not what I do, but I'll give it a try. Wouldn't do that. So they're entitled to have a professional carpenter fix that. They don't have to accept your offer to fix it yourself.
But the railing wasn't all broke. It came all off. The screws just fell out of it. That's all that happened.
When you commit a crime, sir, you don't get to choose your punishment.
Your Honor, I told him he could fix it, and we went a month of him not doing anything, and then I said, well, we'll just do a payment of $527, because that's what I estimated myself.
$527, an odd number to estimate.
But then...
Isn't that an odd number to estimate? But $527, no sense. No. Just $527.
Just figured, yeah, I know.
All right, let me see the estimate. Come on, I had enough. Let's go. Got other fish to fry today.
Yeah.
This is not an estimate. This is something that you prepared.
That's all the personal stuff.
Eggs, your food estimate, your eggs, a pudding, Jell-O, mayonnaise, bread, a gallon of milk. You know what that comes under the category of? You know what you said to me before when I asked you why you were smiling? Remember what you said? Because you were...
Okay. Stupid. All right.
Go buy your own eggs. That is pretty stupid. Why didn't you take pictures of the way the rest of the place looked? Hummer?
Because Chris went and bought a camera, and we were supposed to take pictures of the house while it was fully destroyed before I cleaned it. And he said, well, since the cops came and Jim admitted to doing it, then we don't need to take pictures, and would not take it out of his car
Why
to take
not?
pictures.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I,
All right. Did you get the place fixed?
We got everything cleaned up, but we didn't get it fixed yet. Not all the...
I cleaned the house. I didn't get anything fixed yet.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,500. That's all. Don't be stupid.
Parties are excused. You may stay.
24-year-old Carl Anderson is suing 21-year-old Taryn Gluck and her father, Alan, for the cost to fix damage to his car. Carl claims Taryn dinged his door while pulling into a parking space.
All rise.
It's case number 104 on the calendar in the matter of Anderson versus Gluck.
How old are you?
21.
Sit down. No.
Parties have been sworn in.
Thank you.
Have a seat, sir.
Mr. Anderson, you claim that the defendant damaged your car.
Yes, ma'am.
You wanted to pay for the damage. I don't know what her answer is. She sort of says, I didn't do anything wrong, and I let my father take care of it. Okay, Mr. Anderson, why don't you tell me when this happened and tell me what happened?
Okay. It was March 3rd, 2006. It was a Friday, and rent was due. That's my roommate, Sean. So we both drove to the bank to get our halves of the rent to pay the rent. So I drove my car, I parked and went inside. Sean, he drove his car through the drive-thru and got his money. So I went inside, got my half of the rent. I'm walking to my car, and as I approached my driver's side door, Taryn pulled into the parking spot on my passenger side. She pulled in and parked her car. So I know she seen me standing there.
Don't tell me what you know she saw.
Okay.
Just tell me what happened. You're standing outside your car on the driver's side.
Yes, ma'am.
She pulled in on the passenger side. What kind of car was she driving?
A Jeep Cherokee.
What kind of car?
2002 Hyundai Elantra.
So her car is much bigger than yours.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what happened next?
So she pulled in to the parking spot next to mine, and by then I had got in my car, closed my door, and I was counting my half of the rent. So I'm in my car, she opens her car door, and then boom, she hits my passenger side. So when it happened, I was kind of in shock.
Now, when she opened the car door, you must have turned around when you heard this.
Yes.
What did you see when you turned around?
Well, after it hit, she hopped out of her car real fast. She hurried up and closed the door. Then she hurried up and started walking real fast into the bank.
Have pictures of your car?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please.
Mind you, I wash my car. I keep up with the maintenance of my car regularly, so I know what scratches are on my car and what scratches aren't on my car. So I waited. Mind you, I just left from
these are the scratches you're talking about, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
The two?
Yes.
1, 2?
Yes.
Not any other scratches on the car?
Just those two.
Just those two?
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
So mind you, I had just left from inside the bank. It was empty. So I'm sitting there waiting for her to come out. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes passed. So I'm thinking in my head, oh, she's probably trying to wait for me to leave to avoid the situation. So I'm sitting there waiting. She finally comes out. She's walking straight. She's not even looking in my direction. She's walking to her car, and she was about to put her car keys in her car, and I had to stop her. I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And she was like, "Huh?" And I was like, "You know you hit my car with your car door when you first pulled up." And she was like, "Oh, I did?" So when she said that, I already knew what type of integrity she had. When she tried to deny it, well, she didn't really deny it, but she was like, "Oh, I did?" And I was like, "Yeah, you hit it." She was like, "So what do you want to do?" I was like, "Well, we need to exchange information." So she said, "Hold on." She got in her car and closed the door. So I'm thinking, oh, she must be trying to pull off. So I got behind her car, and I wrote down her tag number. So about a minute passed, and she opened the car door crying. Boo-hoo crying. My dad wants to talk to you. So she put me on the phone with her dad, Mr. Alan Gulek. So I got on the phone with him. So he introduced himself. He was real polite. He introduced himself. He asked me what happened. I told him exactly what happened. Then he said, "Are you sure she did it?" And I said, "Sir, I'm positive because I was sitting inside my car when it happened." He was like, "Okay, well, this is what I want to do." He was like, "I don't want to have to go through my insurance company. I'm a lawyer down in Miami. I'll go ahead and take care of everything for you. Just go ahead and get an estimate and fax it to me, and I'll take care of everything."
Okay, and did you get an estimate, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the estimate that you faxed to?
Estimate that I faxed, $497.76.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Because Mr. Gluick says you faxed him an estimate for $277.
No, the story, because after that, after I faxed him that estimate, I didn't hear from him. Like, months had passed, and I still didn't hear from him. So one day I was on campus. I went through the campus directory. I got her phone number. I called her. I was like, "Hey, my name's Carl. Do you remember me?" She's like, "Yeah, I remember you." I was like, "Did you talk to your dad?"
Just a second. Did you ever fax him an estimate for $277?
No, I had called him and told him I got a cheaper estimate. Because
okay. So you told him you got a cheaper estimate for $277.
Yeah.
Ah, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you never got paid?
No.
Good. Go ahead.
I pulled into the bank. It was raining, so I got out of my car, walked into the bank.
Just a second. You got out of the car, and when you get out of the car, do you open this heavy door to the Jeep Cherokee with your hand or with your foot?
With my hand.
No, that's not what you do. You open the door and you give it a little shove with your foot so that it opens easy. That's what you do. That's what you did.
I didn't open it with my foot.
No, you opened it with your hand.
Right.
And then you push it with your foot because it's hard for you because a Jeep Cherokee is a high car. How tall are you?
5'4".
So that you have to hop down.
I stepped down.
Yeah. Right. Been there. Question to you is, you dinged his car. That's what you did. There's no question in my mind you dinged his car. You've probably dinged a lot of people's cars. My question to you is, why is someone who's 21 years old, who's old enough to be in possession of a big car, a big weapon, if you don't use it right, why does somebody like you call their daddy?
I wasn't sure what information I should give him, if we should call the cops or not. So I wanted
He asked you for your insurance information.
He said, can I have your information?
Okay, and what did you think he meant?
My
What
phone
did you think
number,
he meant?
some
Your
way to
height,
get in
your
touch
weight,
with
your
me?
color, your eye color?
Some way to get in touch with me?
Then you shouldn't be driving a car. If you thought he wanted some way to get in touch with you, then you shouldn't be driving a car.
I thought the cops should have been called then if he wanted my insurance information.
So, fine. You went into your car and you called your father.
Yes, ma'am.
Did your father say call the police?
No, that's why I didn't.
Well, what did your father say to you?
He said give him your information.
And what information did he say to give him?
I gave him both of our phone numbers and our names.
That's not the information he needs. He needs your insurance information. Did your father say give him your insurance card?
No, ma'am.
Well, he should have. That's what it means when you exchange information. Right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can stand up.
Thank you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carl Anderson says fellow motorist Taryn Gluck owes for dinging his car door in a bank parking lot. Taryn denies causing any damage.
Okay. Why didn't you tell your daughter to call the police? She had been involved in an accident.
Well, number one, in the state of Florida, you're only required to call the police when there's personal injury damage, which there was not, and that was the first thing I ascertained.
Perfect. Having ascertained that, when your daughter said he wants my information, that includes your insurance information. You know that. You're a lawyer.
Yes.
Well, it would seem to me that along with your name and number, he should have had your insurance information, unless you said to him, send me an estimate and I'll take care of it. Is that what you said to him, sir? Look at me. Don't look over there.
I didn't say it in those words, no.
I don't care whether you said it in those words, sir. It's either, here's my insurance information, take it up with my insurance company, or fax me an estimate and I'll take care of it.
I said, send me some paperwork, send me some information, and we'll take care of it. That was
Fine,
exactly
then you
what I
pay for it. Thank you.
said. You're welcome.
Okay, it's clear to me that these two dings are what was caused by the car door hitting your car and being irresponsible enough not even to get out and look at it and say, I hit one door against another. At least let me look at it and see if I caused any damage.
I looked at it.
No, you didn't. When you hit his car, you left as soon as you could. When he called you on it, when you came back, then you looked at his car.
Correct.
But when you did it, you didn't look at his car. You hightailed it out of there as soon as you could. Wrong thing to do. You got to act responsibly. You look like a nice girl. You're big enough to drive a car. You have to do the right thing when you drive a car. And you're supposed to be careful when you get out and not use your foot. You know, they call that the Florida foot. I live in Florida. I know the Florida foot. The way women get out of a car. Unfortunately, it's mostly the women. They get out, and older men. They get out of the car, they open the car door, and they go, boom! So it opens the door easily so that they can get themselves out of the car. That's what you did. Okay, you owe him $277, and it wasn't the right thing to blow him off and to not keep in contact with him. You neither, sir. Wrong thing to do. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you, that's all.
Laura Howlett is suing her ex-boyfriend, William Lloyd, for a loan to pay his taxes. William claims the money was actually a gift.
How old are you, Mr. Lloyd?
38.
What kind of work do you do?
I drive a truck.
How long have you been doing that for a living?
7 years.
Before that, what did you do?
Mechanic, auto mechanic.
Always make a living?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any family?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you have?
2 sons.
How old are they?
18 and 16.
Have you supported them over the years?
Yes, ma'am.
They don't live with you.
No, ma'am.
Pay your taxes?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this particular occasion, you owe the IRS some money,
Yes, ma'am.
which means at some point you didn't pay all the taxes you were supposed to pay.
Somehow, during my W-2s, my dependents got messed up. That's why I owe taxes.
Well, your dependents didn't get messed up. You've always had only 2 sons, right? They weren't messed up.
No, ma'am. Talk about on the regular taxes you filled at the beginning of the year. I had more dependents on it than what I should have. That's why I owe taxes.
Well, when you had more dependents, where did you get them from?
Ma'am, I only have 2 children.
Right. So how could you have more dependents?
I filled out the paper wrong for my taxes.
Fine. And whose problem was that?
That was mine.
And whose mistake was that?
That was mine.
Whose bad was that?
That was my bad.
Now, Miss Howlett, this is your case. This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
And he had this debt to the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
You paid the debt, according to the IRS, for him.
I did.
And you want him to pay you back. And Mr. Lloyd says it was very nice of you to pay that debt, but it was a gift. You took that upon yourself, and he has no intention of paying you back.
Not at all, no.
So, how long did you know him before you paid this debt?
We started dating in May 2006, and I paid the debt August 24th, 06.
You a working lady?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a dispatcher.
Trucks?
Yes, for a petroleum company.
Is that the trucking company he works for?
No.
No, ma'am.
Mm-mm.
Sorry.
Do you ever watch this program?
I do.
When you watch this program and you see women standing in the position that you're in,
I know.
and you say to yourself, how could they be so stupid? What did they see in him? Why would they want to take their hard-earned money and give it to that piece of nothing? I would never do anything so stupid. Didn't you say that to yourself?
I did, and I'd say it to myself now, about myself.
So tell me how it came about.
We started dating May 06. We got serious pretty quick. I discussed with him moving in with me when his lease was up September 15th.
Okay.
Yes. He kept getting the bill from the IRS that he had made a payment plan.
He made a payment plan with the IRS?
With the IRS, yes.
What was your payment plan with the IRS?
$100 a month.
That sounds great, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened?
I was making $100 payments a month.
And were you living together at the time?
By the second payment, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And she saw you making this $100 payment.
Yes, ma'am. When I would go over to her house, I would give her $100 cash.
So you would give her $100 in cash?
Yes, ma'am. And then she would pay it over the computer. Just simpler than send it by.
To the IRS?
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
good. Go ahead.
And then the third payment, of which we're here for now, for I don't know why, she was on a computer, and I asked her if she would make my payment for me. And she said, yeah, when she got done what she was doing. And so I was sitting on the couch watching TV, so I said, I'll be up there in a few minutes, and I'll give you the money. So I watched TV, and I went upstairs and gave her the $100. And I don't know exactly what she verbatim, but she had paid it off, my whole entire balance that I owed the IRS. I never asked her to, I never begged her to, I never even brought it up.
Good. So you had the $100 in your hand.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do with the $100?
I gave her the $100.
Did she take it?
I believe so.
Oh, so she paid the $21.97 to the IRS, and you gave her $100, which she accepted because you were paying her instead of paying the IRS.
Right, for my $100 payments.
Right. Keep going.
After I gave her the $100, I assumed that she made a $100 payment, just like she had done for me before.
Right.
And then turned around and she had paid it off.
So?
I never asked her to. I never...
No. And what happened the next month? Did you give her $100 next month?
No, ma'am.
Did she ask you for it?
That month, I believe I had moved out by that time.
Oh, did you try to give her the $100?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I didn't...
You gave her the $100 the month before when she had paid off the whole thing, and she took it?
I gave her the $100 before I knew that she had paid off
Yeah,
in
but
full.
sir, then you understood, because she accepted the $100, that instead of her going on her computer every month to pay the IRS, she paid it off, and you would pay her back the $100 a month.
No, ma'am. I paid her $100, assuming that she was making a $100 payment for me.
But she accepted it. Didn't you hear me?
Yes. But I had made the payment after the fact she had told me she had paid it off. If I asked her to pay it off, why would I set the payment plan with her when I already had it with the IRS? You understand what I'm saying?
Mr. Lloyd.
Yes, ma'am.
Who screwed up with the IRS?
Most of the people at the IRS.
No. Who screwed up with the people at the IRS? I'm talking to you. Who screwed up with the IRS? Say, I did, Your Honor.
As far as making these payments?
Who screwed up with the IRS? And
I did, Your Honor.
That's right. And who owed the IRS money?
I did at the time.
And who was it that spent the money that they didn't pay in taxes that they should have? Who would that be?
That would be me.
Pay your own taxes.
Yes, ma'am.
You do a crime, you pay your own penalty. You owe the IRS money. There are certain things that are positive in this life, sir. One is death.
And taxes.
And taxes. Everybody has to pay them. What kind of pain is there if somebody else pays your taxes? Do not answer me, sir. If you get away without paying your taxes, sir, by saying, well, she paid it off, so I don't have to pay the IRS back $100 a month until they're all paid off, what lesson does that teach you? What lesson does that teach you?
That you shouldn't let nobody else try to do a favor for you and pay your own bills. I never asked her to do this.
Are you paying careful attention to me, Mr.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Lloyd? You don't ask somebody to do your prison time for you, and you don't ask somebody else to pay your taxes for you. And if they do so because you had a payment plan with the IRS, and somebody says, look, I'm going to be a nice person, instead of us going through this drill every month, you give me the $100, which she took, clearly, when she paid off the whole bill, in anticipation of every month you paying her $100. Instead, you moved out. You owe her $2,097 because you paid the $100. Goodbye. Listen to me. Watch better next time.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Geraldine Brady says her daughter and son-in-law, Cassie and Cliff Yelvington, falsely accused her of abusing their daughter. The defendants are countersuing for charges filed by Geraldine.
Miss Brady, this young lady is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your husband.
Yes, sir.
According to your complaint, some time ago, your daughter and her husband had a small baby. That baby was removed from their custody by the state because of abuse, and the baby was placed in your custody.
Yes, ma'am.
You had her for approximately a year?
20 months, Your Honor.
And after 20 months, there was a reunification process, and she was ultimately returned to her parents.
Yes, Your Honor.
You now have that child and another child.
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint is that there came a point where your daughter and son-in-law made some false allegations about you, which required you, because you have a teaching position, to retain an attorney in order to dispute those allegations. And you want them to pay for that attorney and for the emotional distress that you went through from something. Your daughter and her husband say that there came a point when they were concerned over something that their daughter had told them when you were visiting with her, and they had every right to report that. And they are counterclaiming because they say that you have embarked upon a course of trying to interfere with the reunification process by making allegations against the Child Protective Services. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When was the child originally removed from your custody?
January 13th of 2005.
How old was she?
She was approximately 3 months old.
And what was the nature of the abuse that she suffered at 3 months old?
Some people that we thought were friends, and their youngest daughter was going through and put bite marks on our child.
Over what period of time?
A week or two.
You pled guilty to abuse or neglect?
Neglect.
And you understand that you neglected her?
Yes.
As did you?
I wasn't there. I was at work. I was working out of town for the period that this had happened.
The entire time?
It had happened within a week. I was out of town for the whole week.
Now, when the child was with you, did the parents visit?
Yes, ma'am.
At your house?
Initially, they had supervised visitation at my house, and due to the deteriorating situation, I asked for their visitation to be moved to a visitor center.
Well, that's part of their counterclaim, that if you hadn't forced the visitation to be at a visitation center, they might have been reunified with their child earlier. So I would like you to tell me, Miss Brady, what caused you to report this deteriorating situation?
They were coming over to my house, and I was allowing them wide open visitation. They could come, sit comfortably. I fed them. I permitted them to have any length of visitation they wanted. That was approximately June of 2005. Cliff went into court and claimed that he was paying child support to me, and I had not received any child support from them whatsoever. Also, when they came, they were bringing some people over with them. I didn't mind his family members, immediate family members, like his sisters and Kaylee's little cousins, but they started bringing strangers over.
Who would you bring over to the house?
My cousin.
Why would you do that?
We checked with her first. We told her that we were going to bring over my niece and my cousin, and she
Why
said
would
she
you
didn't
bring
have a problem.
anybody?
Because she would not come over down to Orlando so that my family could see my daughter, and my family wanted to see my daughter because they hadn't seen her since she was born.
Just a minute. What does that have to do with little cousins?
It's not. She was like 13 years old.
So what? This is for you and your wife. Visitation is for you and your wife. How many cousins did you bring to the visitor center?
We didn't take anybody to the visitation center because it was done during the week whenever everybody was working.
Right. So Miss Brady was taking care of business that you should have been taking care of, and if she said to you, don't bring people...
She never told me not to bring people.
Did you tell him not to bring people?
No.
Well, how was he supposed to be a mind reader?
Well, I did object to one person's presence. He was supposedly a friend of Brandy's, his older sister, and I did object to it to Cassie.
And what did she say?
She just shrugged her shoulders and made an excuse.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you got tired of all these people in your house?
Yes.
So you asked that the visitation be at someplace else?
Yes.
Were you going to visitation every weekend with your daughter?
At the center, it wasn't on the weekend. It was only during
At your mother's house?
We were going there about 3-4 days a week.
So that was great. That was great.
Yes.
Should have kept it simple.
We didn't know that there was a problem until she sprung it on us at the last minute, saying that there's visitation at the center now instead of at her house.
Okay. Should have been smart enough to figure it out.
If she would have came up to us and said, hey, I have a problem with some of the stuff that's going on, we would have done what we could to correct it.
Mr. Yeldington, you may be right. She probably should have said something to you before she moved it, but that's not a legitimate lawsuit. You should have been smart enough to keep it simple. Go with your wife, sit with your wife, with your 3-month-old daughter, bond with her, spend as much time with her as you can, and not involve the rest of your family. That's just not smart to do. Could she have told you? Absolutely. Is that a lawsuit? Absolutely not. Now, the child was ultimately reunified when?
September the 15th, 2006.
Tell me what happened after September the 15th.
Well, there was one visit that I went to pick her up at. Josh, my grandson, went to pick her up. I had visitation with her every other weekend. And I noticed there was like a mark on the side of her face. Well, when I got her home, it looked like a full-blown handprint on the left side of her face.
Josh, just stand up, please. Josh, you went to pick the baby up.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see any mark on her face?
Yes, ma'am.
Describe it to me.
It was marks on her face, and there was like some bruising right here.
Did you ask her what happened?
No, ma'am.
Did you?
She wasn't that verbal at that time.
Okay, fine. Do you remember what month this
September 2006, towards the end.
So you reported it?
Yes, I did, to the caseworker, and I took pictures.
You have pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please.
There's the originals.
Very hard to see any mark.
Right.
Oh, I see the bruise in the middle of her lip. That I do see.
Yeah. That was on a separate occasion.
And then in October of 2006, I see a large black and blue mark on her forehead.
That's it.
Okay. You did the very wise thing and the right thing to notify the caseworker. You understand that, don't you?
Yes, I'm trying to recall on what these marks were.
Yeah, because we were never notified by the department that there was any marks on her.
Or by my
well,
mother.
But you do understand that being a responsible person, knowing the history of this child...
Yes, ma'am, but what I'm saying is if there was a allegation made to the department, I think the department would have, at least done an investigation on it. There was no investigation done.
Should have done an investigation on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether they did or not is another story. No question about that. Okay, what happened next, Miss Brady?
In January of 2007, I had picked up Kaylee from their home, and when I was giving her a shower, I noticed what appeared to be like burn marks, like in a circle on her butt. And I did call DCF. The DCF investigator did tell me, take her to the hospital, have her examined by the hospital.
And did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a report from the hospital?
No.
Because you're not the parent.
Right, and I didn't have custody of her at that time.
You have a report from the hospital on this incident?
We do not have it. We gave the copy to our caseworker because we were notified of the allegation. And the moment I was notified, I took my daughter down to the hospital, had her examined, and then also told them to call up the sheriff's department and told them I want to do everything by the book because this allegation is ridiculous.
Did you get a report when Miss Brady took her to the hospital?
Not from the hospital, but I do have the report with the department.
I'd like to read it. Are you trying to toilet train your child?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your daughter have a psychiatric history?
No. After this point, I think she should.
Well, it is clear to me that based upon this, somebody observed marks and thighs that were clearly visible 2 days after your mother-in-law took the child to the hospital.
That right there would be the allegation that Miss Brady put against us for my daughter.
No, my dear.
Because our caseworker...
Kaylee has excoriated red marks on her buttocks and thigh. That's an observation, sir. That is not Miss Brady's observation. That's an observation either by a physician at the emergency room or the caseworker. It says, describes them. They're on her thighs. They're about 2 inches long. The marks on her lower buttocks looks like they may have been from sitting on the toilet for a long period of time.
Which she was not. And the doctors that we took her to and the investigators and everybody told us that they
Don't tell me what anybody told you. Show me a report. This is the only report that I have.
As far as her sitting on the potty for too long, she liked to play on the potty and try to be a big girl, and she would sit there herself. We didn't force her to stay there. And the marks on her thigh were chafing from her diaper because we went for a walk that morning before my mother picked her up.
You also had an excuse for the bite mark she suffered on her body. You claimed that that was not your fault. It is your fault. Whether you did the biting or you permitted this child to be, for over a week's period of time, bitten by another child, that's your fault. And just because a 2-year-old wants to sit on the toilet for a long time doesn't mean that a parent who is exercising parental responsibility allows a child to do that to such an extent that the child has welts on her bottom. Child should not have marks on their thighs from chafing from a diaper if all you have to do is take care of her, which is what the two of you have to do. Take care of her. So far, Miss Brady, you did everything right.
Thank you.
Now, would you please tell me why you were forced to hire a lawyer?
Well, throughout this 20 months, they've made numerous allegations.
Uncross your arms.
Against me, but then they made a very serious allegation against me July 26, 2006. And I think it was in retaliation because things didn't go very well for them in court.
What do you mean things didn't go well?
I guess that day, I guess they were expecting to be reunited with their child that day in court, and it didn't come about. And I also was badgering them about the child support that they owed me. And we had left court, I had gone, and then next thing I know, I'm getting a call from the caseworker to take Kaylee to a hospital or a doctor immediately for a sexual exam because the allegation had come from Cassie or Cliff.
That said what?
That said they felt that the child had been sexually abused while she was in my care.
Really?
And this really was...
What made you think that?
She would shy away from men. She would not go near them. Like if I would go to pick her up, and I mean, whenever I'd walk around, she would run right up to me. And if I'd go to pick her up, she would curl up in a ball and start crying. So what I did is I told my caseworker, this is what's happening. I don't know what to think about it. I just figured I should notify you about it. And where it went from there was that they put in the abuse allegation for...
Against who?
Against her mother.
You're crazy. Something wrong with you. And you're a nasty person, too.
How am I a nasty person?
You're a nasty person because you retaliated against somebody who took on a responsibility that you and your wife couldn't take care of, which is taking care of a 3-month-old child. I assume that Miss Brady, once she raised her own children, didn't plan on nor desire to raise a 3-month-old baby. The reason she had to do that was in order to prevent your 3-month-old daughter from going into a foster care situation. Because the two of you neglected her, minimally neglected her, perhaps abused her. So she was for 20 months. And instead of kissing her feet, which you should have done,
we tried.
You accused this teacher, this person who cleaned up after your mess, of abuse. That's why you're not a very nice person. Because I have a sense that you rule the roost in your house.
Actually,
that's my
she
sense.
does.
My sense is also that your wife could use a little psychiatric intervention. And if you don't see to it that that happens, you now have 2 children?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
It's not going to be the last time that your children are the subject of intervention by the state. So if you rule the roost in your house, and if you're not the one who's abusing your children, I suggest that you get your wife some help. How much did you spend on a lawyer?
$600.
That you pay her back. How much support did you ultimately give her for the time she took care of your daughter?
We came up to a verbal agreement that if she claimed Kaylee on the
Tax return,
we would
You
not have
didn't
to pay it.
answer my question.
We
I
didn't
said
give
how
her
much.
any money because we had a verbal contract that if she claimed her on her tax return, we wouldn't have to pay child support anymore.
The child support wasn't ordered until 2006.
It doesn't have to be ordered. Does it have to be ordered for you to watch your
We
child
were-
so
no,
that
but
she doesn't get bitten?
We were giving my daughter diapers, clothes, anything that she needed.
Who cares if you give somebody diapers?
Okay, and then she comes out
Who
and tells
cares
the courts,
if you give a baby diapers?
I understand that, ma'am, but then she comes out and tells the courts that she thinks that me saying I'm not going to pay for her bills, not my daughter's, hers, is unfounded because she actually came out and said she wanted this much for this much for this, and this much for this, and one of those being cable, and my 3-month-old daughter wasn't watching cable.
Mr. Yelvington, so instead of doing something, you did nothing. Exclude the cable. You didn't even protect your 3-month-old daughter.
Yes, we did. As soon as
No, you didn't, because your wife had to, of necessity, fed, bathed, and changed this baby over a week's period of time. And as soon as she saw the first bite mark on this child, that child should have been removed from the environment. She chose not to do that. And if you were in communication with your wife, and if there's not something wrong with her mentally, she would have told you that the 3-month-old child had been abused by somebody in that house. And if you were any sort of a parent, you would have come off the road and said, I don't care where we're going, we'll go to a shelter in order to protect her. Instead, you allowed this child to be abused over a week's period of time, according to your wife. And instead of kissing her feet, you made her life miserable. That's your mother. 25 years from now, you're not going to know who he is, but she will always be your mother. And you will always be able to count on her to clean up after you, not him. And if you need mental help, get it. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, but there is one thing. I was not able to notify my husband of the marks because the people that we were staying with would not allow me to use the phone, and I had no
Crawl out. Abe Lincoln walked 10 miles to school. If your child is being abused, you leave and go to a shelter. What's wrong with you?
Where we lived, there was no shelters nearby.
Go to a police station. Where did you live? In the Yukon? Quiet. You go to a shelter. You go to a police station. You go someplace. Or you don't let your daughter out of your sight.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't say anything.
Okay.
You're both working now?
Yes.
Perfect. Your counterclaim for nonsense is dismissed. You're asking for $1,600, which includes infliction of emotional distress, which you've had, and your attorney's fees.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all. Step out.
Ashley Beischer claims the father of her child, Joshua Schmidt, owes for a $5,000 loan to buy a motorcycle. Joshua is countersuing, claiming Amy slashed his tires twice.
This used to be your boyfriend. When you were having a lapse in judgment while he was your boyfriend, you co-signed on a credit card for him to buy a dirt bike because he couldn't get it on his own.
Correct.
And the agreement was that he was to make the payments faithfully on that credit card.
That's correct.
He did make payments for a period of time on the credit card, and you separated. But he agreed to continue to make the payments on his bike, which he was using and which he took with him. Correct?
Correct.
Then there came a time that you and your fiancé, this would be fiancé, went to purchase a car. And you found out that your credit was awful. When you checked to ascertain why, according to your complaint, you found out that Mr. Schmidt had not been faithfully making on time the credit card payments on his bike. So what you want now is you want him to pay off that credit card so that hopefully you can get your credit restored.
That's correct.
Mr. Schmidt says that he was paying off the credit card until you slashed his tires.
That's ridiculous.
Shh. So that the fault is really yours for slashing his tires, causing him to lose his job. Have we joined the issue, Mr. Schmidt? Hello? You say in your answer it's really her fault.
Yes, I believe it is.
Perfect. I would like to see the date of the credit card loan and the history of payments.
I have that right here. This only goes back a year. They wouldn't.
Fine.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Schmidt, on what day, sir, do you claim your tires were slashed?
On May of 2006, I had 2 tires on my vehicle that were slashed. And then October of 2006, I had another tire slash on my car.
Just a second. After which incident, sir, did you lose your job?
The second.
So it's really the October of 2006 incident that you claim caused you to lose your job
Yes.
and fall behind in your payments.
Yes.
So it would be a fair statement, sir, that it wasn't until October of 2006 that you started making either late payments or skipping payments or anything else. Up until that time, they were okay.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Your Honor, can I point something out?
Shh. Maybe, if I need some help. Well, sir, in September of 2006, which was before your tire was slashed, you had a late fee of $39.
Okay.
That's before, right?
Yep.
And in August, which was before your slashed tires, you had a late fee of $39.
That would be after the first.
You just told me, sir, that you didn't lose your job until after the October incident.
Yes, but missing days of work.
No. Baloney. The issue was that after the October incident, you lost your job because of the tire slashing, causing you to fall behind in your payments. And you said to me prior to that time you were on time with your payments. So we now have August and September where you were late. Are you following me, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, I am.
Who is this?
This is my witness, Jason.
Maybe. Jason. Now we have July. Late, Mr. Schmidt. And how much, sir, were you supposed to pay every month?
It's about $70.
So sometimes you didn't pay at all. And then you sort of doubled up the next month, right?
Yes.
You can't do that. You know you can't do that. Look at what we have here. A June late assessment. And you didn't make a payment. Whole month of June.
Is it possible, though, that me without a vehicle, how is it possible for me to get to work, to make money, to make payments on this?
What are you talking about? Who cares about whether you have a vehicle?
How do you get to work?
I don't care how you get to work. Walk. Crawl. Get your witness to pick you up. Now, let's go back to before the first incident, Mr. Schmidt, that you allege she slashed your tires, which you have to prove to me anyway. Let's go back to April now. Even you will know, Mr. Schmidt, that April comes before May,
Yes.
right? How do you account for the late charge in April, Mr. Schmidt?
I don't.
Right. So the cock and bull story that you gave me is just that. You've been making late payments on this loan forever, because we also have one for March. So what do I care how you get to work? How did Abe Lincoln get to school? I'm waiting for an answer.
Walk.
That's what he did. He walked. And you remember from grammar school how many miles he walked to school every day?
No, I don't.
I think it was 5 miles each way, wasn't it, Bert? I think something like that. 5 miles each way. Do you understand, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
When somebody else does a nice thing to you, what you're supposed to do is not be a pig. If you want to, you get the loan totally out of her name, and then if you want to screw up your credit, you do it. But you don't screw up her credit. Now, how much is left on the loan?
The grand total is about $6,700.
Well, the maximum I can award you is $5,000. You understand that, and the check will be directly to the credit card company which holds the loan.
Yeah.
You're still responsible, as is he, for the remainder of it,
Right.
and he's responsible to pay it.
Right.
Who do you work for?
I actually just got a new employment job. It's DeLuca and Tobin.
Well, you would have no objection if they deducted the remainder of the balance, anything over $5,000 from your check, would you? Listen to what I just said. You owe the money. You have the dirt bike, don't you?
Yes.
The maximum I can give her is $5,000. That will be made directly to the credit card company. You still owe them about $1,600. Are you prepared to sign an authorization to allow them to take the remainder of the money at periodic payments out of your check?
Yes.
Perfect. We will prepare that order and send it over to the drilling company and any other company that you might work for subsequently. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, let's get to the slashed tires. Did you slash his tires in May?
Absolutely
You don't
not.
look like a tire slasher.
No.
You didn't see her slash your tires, did you?
No, I didn't.
Did you?
I did not see her, no.
Step up. Your name?
Jason
Jason what?
Moyer,
How do you know her?
through him.
When was the last time you had any contact with her?
While.
A while is not a month
Well, I
and a year.
don't talk to her, but I've seen her around town.
When was the last time you had contact with her?
Last fall or around there.
Tell me about that contact.
Well,
Look
I was,
at me.
I was at the bar and I had walked by and
Bar, what bar?
Krieger's possibly.
What do you mean Krieger's possibly?
Well, it was either that bar or another one over there.
What time?
Probably 8 or 9 at night.
What date?
I'm not exactly sure.
What month?
October or November.
Mr. Schmidt, you sure you want me to do this to your friend?
Um,
You sure you want me to do this to your friend?
yes.
Be my pleasure, sir. You're walking by the bar that you don't know on a date that you don't remember, in a year that perhaps you remember, and tell me what you believe you have that is germane to this case.
Well, I had heard her and her friends laughing about how his tires had been popped.
Yes?
Yeah, so I assumed she had something to do with it.
Oh, well, then you assume. Good. Do you have anything else that's germane to this case?
I did pick him up for work, too, a couple times.
I don't care about that. Sit down. You have anything else on the tire slashing, sir?
I just have a copy of, actually, no, I do not have
Good.
this on
Thank
me.
you very much. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You owe $5,000, and we will prepare an order for the remainder of the $1,600 to be deducted automatically from your check. Forward that to your employer with my love and hugs and kisses. Thank you very much.
Clerk William Russell for unpaid car payments and car damages. William is countersuing for the return of an engagement ring and a broken apartment lease.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 52 on the calendar in the matter of DeFrank versus Russell. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Frank, while you were engaged to the defendant, according to your complaint, you financed a car for him. He couldn't get credit on his own.
Yes.
The engagement was over. He left with the car, and he said that he was going to maintain the car, make the car payments and the insurance. According to you, he stopped making the payments on the car. You repossessed it.
I took the car back.
You repossessed it.
Mhm.
And you want him to pay for his missed payments. And in addition, you said that when you got back the car, it was A, filthy, and B, the brakes were bad. So you want him to pay for the brakes and, I guess.
A window was off track.
What do you mean off track?
They had to order a part to put it back on.
Ah.
I have the receipt for that.
And then he has a cross complaint, which I will get to in a minute. When did you separate from the defendant?
October 2000.
And when did you repossess the car?
March of 2001.
And when did he stop making the payments?
He never paid the payment for November, and February he missed another payment, so that's when they started sending me the delinquency notice.
How many missed payments did he have?
2.
Is that right, sir?
I missed one payment in November, and I doubled up on it in February.
You did? You have proof of that?
I don't have it with me now.
Well, where do you expect me to go to find it? That's what you're coming to court for. You're coming to court because she says that you missed payments. That's what this whole case is about.
I stopped making the payments because she kept threatening, I'm taking the car, I'm going to take the car from you.
When did you stop making the payments?
In February.
So you didn't make February's payment?
I doubled it in February. I didn't make March's payment.
Your Honor, I have the delinquency notice. if you
Can
want.
I see it, please?
Yeah. This is for November, and that's when, for February, they were going to repossess it, so I wasn't aware of that.
Well, according to them, on January 19th, you owed them 2 payments.
I paid one on the 24th
Of what?
of January.
Show me.
I don't have my checkbook with me.
Well, then I have to take this as being accurate. Now, what are you doing with the car?
I had a friend of my mother's is taking over payments till he could get a loan.
So he's currently paying on it?
Well, he didn't pay on March. I didn't sell the car till, April, so I paid March also.
Let me see proof of payment for March's payment. $658.13 he owes you. That's as of January.
This was March payment 331, and I have the right there.
$331 on March 13th. Okay. So that's what he owes you so far, $989. Now, you think he should also be responsible for repairs on the car?
Well, he had, you know, I mean, he was supposed to take the loan. He agreed to it, and he never figured. They were worn down to the rotors. I have the receipts on all of that. I mean, it was returned to me. I have pictures of how it was returned, how when I picked it up, how.
I'll take a look at the photographs.
And then I have cleaned it up. I have pictures of that also, what it looks like afterwards.
He's a slob.
Mm-hmm.
So? He's a slob.
And that was, you know, that's my car and how I got it returned. And I had to clean it up in order to sell it, and it was a lot of time for me.
He's a slob.
The car was fine when I had it. I mean, I got a letter 3 weeks after she'd had it.
Just a second. I'm not talking about the mechanics of fixing it. You have a car that's a couple of years old sometimes. It needs brakes. He didn't break the window. It was a mechanical thing that happened with the window. Is that right?
Yes.
It's a mechanical thing that happened with the window. All I said was he's a slob.
I cleaned out the car before I gave it back to her. I cleaned it out on March 6th.
Well, whatever. You don't get reimbursed for that, but you do get reimbursed, madam, for your car payments that you made. You were very fortunate that you got somebody else to take over these payments. And I hope it teaches you a good lesson. Do not ever finance a car for anybody. Boyfriend, fiancé, husband, child, nothing. If you finance something for somebody, don't treat it as a loan, treat it as a gift. And say goodbye to your money. Is that good advice?
It's very good advice. I'd like to talk to you later about a loan.
We've known each other a long time.
That's right.
Happily.
That's right.
Forget it.
Okay.
All right, so $989. That's on your side. Now, Mr. Russell, you have counterclaim.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your counterclaim. You want the return or value of a computer. Let's talk about the computer.
On June 8th, she gave me the computer as a birthday gift.
When was your birthday?
June 8th.
And tell me how she gave it to you.
We both went down to the store and purchased it.
What'd you give her for her birthday?
Engagement ring.
That was nice. And when was her birthday?
May 19th. March 19th, I'm sorry.
March 19th. So she got the ring first?
Yeah.
And then she bought you the computer?
Yeah.
How'd she get it back?
On October 13th, I caught her with someone else, so she moved out. And the next month, she came and got her furniture. Now, if the computer is hers, what?
Just a second. That was in November. She came and got her stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So far, you still have the computer?
Yeah.
When did she take the computer?
When she came to get the car, March 7th.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, that's when, because I had a police escort, and when I went to go get
When you moved out of the house?
Yes.
You left the computer?
Because he told me that he had stuff to delete on it. He couldn't do it right away, so I'm like, you know what, I don't have time.
November, December, January, February, 5 months later, the computer's still at his house?
Well, because I had went away for a little while. I went back to New Jersey. I came back, and I decided to get my, that's when I found out about the repossession of the
He says
the
it was a
car.
birthday present.
No, I have the receipt right here.
I believe you have the receipt. He says you bought it for him as a birthday present. Let me see the receipt.
Might have been an assumption.
Just a minute. You bought the computer the day before his birthday. That's a coincidence.
But I mean,
That's a coincidence, and you left it in the house when you moved out.
Because he had stuff on the computer that he couldn't delete right there.
That's an hour. That's 2 hours. That's a day, not 5 months.
Your Honor, the MSN was under her name. I made the monthly payments on that for the online use, and she asked me to ask my new roommate, Matt, if he could put MSN under his name. If the computer was hers, why would she want him to put it under his credit card name?
No, I believe it was a birthday present, because it was better times. It was much better times.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carla DeFrank says ex-fiancé William Russell owes for car payments as well as damages to the vehicle. William says Carla won't return the engagement ring.
On one side, we have $989. That's on your side. On your side, we have computer. That goes back to you. Then you're suing her for the engagement ring, right?
That was because she took the computer.
But if you get the computer back, she can keep the engagement ring?
Yeah.
That's very, very nice of you. Great. So you don't want the ring back as long as you get your computer back.
Bad luck.
What?
The ring was bad luck.
I'm sorry.
perfect. Is that the ring? Can I see it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's very pretty. Very pretty. He wants you to have it.
Thank you.
It's yours.
Your Honor, I'm also suing for the $2,000 on the car because I'm selling it to the new person, and the blue book is $9,000 to $12,000. I owe $14,000 on it. So for the $2,000, no, even if he
No,
wrote,
darling.
even if he had.
No, darling. Did he have anything to do with finding a new purchaser for the car?
No.
You've sold the car. You came to a price with the purchaser. If you had the car and said, I want to sell it, and whatever the difference is he would be responsible for, then I would say you jointly get together, get the highest possible amount that you can for the car, and then if there is a shortfall, just like you were a bank, he would be responsible for that. But you can't do that if you found the purchaser. You got it? Good. That makes sense to you?
Makes sense to me.
Good. Okay, so the computer goes back to him, and you get to keep the engagement ring, which you could probably sell. Ordinarily, the engagement ring goes back to the person who gave it to you. So I would say that you're out of pocket any more money. What you do is sell the ring. Okay, now, you want to talk about any rent that you say she owes you, or you just want to forget that?
I want to talk about it.
You want to talk about it?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We signed a year lease. She moved out October 14th, and the lease wasn't up till January 14th, 15th, and that's $325 a month as half the rent.
Mm-hmm.
For 4 months, it's $1,300.
When did you get a new roommate?
December.
So she moved out in October, and she paid October.
Yeah.
Did she pay any for November?
No.
She says she paid some in November.
No, she didn't, and she harassed my roommate about...
I don't care if she harassed your roommate. So far, she moves out in October, and if your roommate moves in December, that's at most 1 month that you're out, not 4. You're suing for 4 months' rent. You don't expect to get rent from her and your new roommate.
Well, she's harassing him for her security deposit back. She broke...
Just a minute. She has security deposit?
Yeah.
How much?
$325.
There you go. Leave the place in good condition. That way you have the security deposit.
But she wants that back.
Well, she's not suing for it. So, if you say she owes you for 1 month's rent for November, then you have her half of November's rent, right?
Yep.
Because you have the security deposit. Are you the new roommate? Be neat. What else?
That's it.
Did I resolve this? Wonderful. $998 judgment for the plaintiff. The computer is to be returned within 5 days. That's all. Be happy. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She owes somebody for her breast enlargement.
My breast already paid off, and I don't need his money because he never gave me any money. He didn't have any money, so I wouldn't go after him for money.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Underwood versus Shells. Step forward, please.
Marceline Underwood is suing 36-year-old postal clerk Sheila Shells. Marceline claims Sheila's son, 14-year-old Jamal, smashed her son's glasses in a fight. Jamal says Justin was teasing him in class.
What's your first name?
Justin.
And yours?
Jamal.
This case is about some broken eyeglasses. And there was some sort of an altercation at school. And it is your claim that the defendant smashed your eyeglasses. Is that right?
Yes.
So why don't you tell me what happened?
We was having music, the 6th period of class, and it was free time. So I was joking around, laughing. I was with another boy. I was like, boys should not wear sunglasses because they look like... And I guess he was in my conversation listening. He happened to have on some sunglasses. So
Was he the only one who had sunglasses on at the time?
I don't really know. I don't think so, but...
What were you talking about sunglasses for? That seems to be like a sort of bizarre...
Because we was talking about each other, but he wasn't in the... and then...
No, I'm not finished with you, Justin. We're going to do this slowly. How many other boys were you talking to?
3.
Do you know their names?
Zachary, John, remember the other one?
Was Zachary wearing sunglasses?
No.
Was John wearing sunglasses?
No.
And this boy whose name you don't remember, was he wearing sunglasses?
No.
So you made a comment about boys wearing sunglasses?
Yes.
And then what happened?
He got up, and then I got up, and we started fighting.
Just a minute. He got... No.
He got up and came over to me.
He got up and came over to you. And what did he say when he came over to you?
He just started swinging at me.
So he...
Yeah. And then I got up, we started fighting in the middle. Then that's when he knocked my glasses off. Then as he was moving back and forth, you know, he was stepping on them. Then that's when the kids had to hold me back. The teacher tried to, but I guess he almost swung and hit the teacher.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 13-year-old Justin Underwood claims classmate 14-year-old Jamal Shells intentionally smashed his glasses. Jamal says Justin was teasing him.
Now it's your turn, Jamal.
Yes.
So you overheard this comment about sunglasses.
Yes.
You got mad?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went up to him?
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you do?
I hit him in the face and knocked his glasses off.
And?
And then we continued fighting. He hit me in the face, and I kept swinging and pounding on him. And then, like a mob of kids, you know, that were in the class, they came and broke it up. And
okay, good. How come you got so mad when he said something about your sunglasses?
Well, that was like 2-3 months ago, and we didn't really get along at the time because he talks a lot and he just gets on a lot of people's nerves.
But what'd you get up to hit him for?
Because he was doing it for a long time, so I just got tired of it.
What was he doing for a long time, Jamal?
He kept egging me on and messing with me.
Like what?
Calling me names in class while I was trying to do my work.
Like what?
Big head, meathead.
And that bothered you?
Yes, because he kept doing it. That's what he does, and I just didn't like it.
But you can't hit somebody because you don't like what they say.
I know, but...
That's not the way to resolve something, by going up and punching him in the face.
Right.
You knew that, right?
Yes.
So what'd you do it for?
Because I was tired of it.
Because you couldn't control yourself?
Yes.
Were you with other boys when he made this comment about the sunglasses?
No, I was sitting down playing cards with a friend of mine. That's when he started calling me with sunglasses and stuff. And I was the only one with sunglasses in the room, so...
Right?
Yes.
Okay, you see how honest he is? There you go. Why were you teasing him?
First, I was not teasing him.
You sure you were teasing him?
He was in my conversation. He should
No, Justin. He may not have been in your conversation, but you were talking to 3 other boys. He was the only one in the class wearing sunglasses. And you made a comment that you knew would be irritating to him. Why?
I don't know.
You didn't think it would make him feel better, did you?
Because we do this we talk about each other all the time.
Well, does he ever talk about you?
Yes.
How?
Fat lion, old fat lion. That's his favorite word. He always would say that.
To who?
Me, in
class. Did you ever call him an old fat lion? Come on.
Yes.
Okay, so you called him an old fat lion. And did he ever hit you?
No.
All right. So, Jamal, that was the wrong thing to do, to hit him.
Yes.
It's the wrong thing to do, to tease. But I gather you tease too. You just don't think that your talk is teasing. You tease each other, right?
Yes.
Now, but for the fact that you punched him in the face, his eyeglasses wouldn't have fallen off, right?
Right.
Then you're responsible.
Yes.
Perfect. So what's the problem? Now I'm talking to your mother. Why didn't you pay for the glasses?
Because I didn't hit Justin in the face.
No, but your son did.
Yes, he did.
Now, as between you and Miss Underwood, he's your responsibility. He's her responsibility. But somebody's going to pay for the glasses. Why should it be the mother whose son did not knock the glasses off as opposed to the mother whose son did?
Because the glasses simply fell to the floor. And from my understanding, the other children, this is what Jamal told me. Another child picked the glasses up and threw the glasses.
Okay, so let's get it straight now.
Yes.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened.
What happened?
Even if it's so that happened, your son was smart enough to just acknowledge to me that but for the fact that he hit him in the face, the glasses would not have fallen off. And they would not have gotten broken, however they got broken. Let me see a bill for the glasses. Where are your glasses? Where are the new ones?
I didn't purchase any new ones.
Why not? Why not?
Well, I was going to wait and see what happened, and I was going to get him some.
When did this happen?
In February.
Are you telling me that your child has been without glasses since February?
No, he was using his old pair.
But that's not the right prescription.
That's correct.
Well, that's outrageous. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $211. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Chăm sóc trẻ sơ sinh thì bố mẹ cần phải lưu ý những điều sau đây. Nó thứ nhất là không nên mặc quần áo mới ngay cho bé sau khi mua về, mà cần phải giặt giũ sạch sẽ thì hãy cho con mặc bố mẹ nhé. Tức là đây là những cái điều kiêng kỵ mà khi chăm sóc bé sơ sinh sẽ có 12 điều bố mẹ cần phải kiêng kỵ khi chăm sóc bé sơ sinh. Thứ nhất là không mặc quần áo mới khi chưa giặt. Thứ hai nữa là không nên để cho bé ngủ chung giường với bố mẹ. Nhiều chuyên gia khuyên rằng việc cho bé ngủ chung giường với cha mẹ sẽ hạn chế tính tự lập của trẻ hơn so với cho trẻ ngủ riêng. Không chỉ thế mà để bé ngủ chung với bố mẹ thì còn tiềm ẩn nhiều nguy cơ sức khỏe của trẻ, dễ dẫn đến khóc đêm, thiếu oxy và ngủ không ngon giấc. Tiếp theo nữa là đặt hoa trong phòng ngủ của trẻ cũng là một kiêng kỵ, bởi vì hoa nó sẽ có những cái bông hoa nó rất là tưởng chừng nó vô hại, nhưng nó có thể giúp phòng ngủ của bé trở thành một cái tác nhân gây hại đối với sức khỏe của bé. Rồi quấn tã cho bé quá kín cũng là một cái sai lầm mà bố mẹ cần phải loại bỏ. Tắm cho trẻ sơ sinh quá kỹ là một sai lầm tiếp theo mà bố mẹ cần khắc phục. Trẻ sơ sinh thì chỉ cần tắm 3 phút thôi, tầm 3 phút đến 5 phút là cao thôi, không nên tắm quá nhiều. Thứ 6 là cắt hoặc là tỉa lông mi cho trẻ là điều bố mẹ không nên làm. Dùng nước giặt hoặc là chất tẩy rửa để giặt quần áo cho trẻ sơ sinh là không nên bố mẹ nhé. Dùng đánh vào vùng lưng và đầu của trẻ. Đây là cái nơi tập trung cái số lượng dây thần kinh và tủy sống rất là nhiều, nên bố mẹ không nên đánh vào cái khu vực lưng và đầu của bé. Rồi thứ sai lầm tiếp theo là thoải mái để cho người lạ ôm trẻ là một điều cần phải kiêng kỵ tuyệt đối, nhất là đối với trẻ sơ sinh. Mà cho bé uống sữa bình rất là sớm thay vì sữa mẹ thì cái này cũng là một cái sai lầm của bố mẹ nhé. Nên cho con uống bú sữa mẹ đến ít nhất là hoàn toàn trong 6 tháng đầu, hoặc là ít nhất thì được 3 đến 4 tháng cho bé uống sữa bình, sữa ngoài quá sớm sẽ ảnh hưởng đến hệ tiêu hóa của bé. Rồi là nhéo má hoặc là mặt của trẻ là điều cấm kỵ, không nên nhé. Điều 12 đó là để cho trẻ mặc tã bẩn quá lâu, thì việc mà để cho bé mặc tã bẩn quá lâu thì làm cho cái vi khuẩn vô tình nó lại xâm nhập vào da của bé, và da của bé sơ sinh rất là nhạy cảm, cho nên là bố mẹ cần phải thay tã thường xuyên, mỗi 3 giờ một lần cho con. Đó là 12 điều kiêng kỵ mà bố mẹ cần phải tránh khi chăm sóc bé sơ sinh nha bố mẹ nha.